Welcome to the skating session. My name is Tony Wheeler,
And I'm Thomas Vu.
and we're here to review Grand Prix number 4 NHK Trophy in Japan. Just finished up overnight. Lots of thoughts. We have ice dancers that we haven't seen before. We have a lot to talk about in that respect. Some surprises in the women's competition, men's competition. One of our favorite skaters of all time. I think both of us started his series, but we're going to start with our favorite discipline, ice dance.
Right. And so I guess the big story here, we'll get to them when we get to them, is that it's the return of the Shibutanis. And I would say the manner in which they returned was a bit of a shocker to everyone.
Mhm.
Whether you were pro their return or an anti. Yeah. And then we'll talk about some of this news that popped up, in the early fall season about them too. But first off, it's this rematch between Fear and Gibson and Guignard and Fabbri. And I would say like the skating was pretty good all around. Fear and Gibson win, right? We have Guignard and Fabbri now in silver, and then Green and Parsons third. The Taschlers fourth. Wolfe-Costin and Sariki, right, are fifth place, and a bit of surprise to a lot of folks. And I'll talk about them, but I kind of think they're a little undermarked here, right? And then behind them are the Shibutanis, and that's the biggest, really news here. In their
Yeah,
return, they are sixth place in their first Grand Prix event.
yeah.
Right. But let's start with Fear and Gibson. Like, what are your impressions here? Their second event out here in the Grand Prix.
So we saw, we're jumping ahead. We saw the Finnish team here that finished down.
Mm.
I think they ended up in eighth place, but they also had a
Oh yeah.
Spice Girls rhythm dance. And I think that because they used the original versions and they didn't go overboard with all these remixes that we see with Fear and Gibson, I ended up liking that program as a concept a
Mm.
little bit better. I think that this it's the story of the season with all these high tempos kind of making the skaters look slow and everything needs to be so upbeat and party party party, but I feel like Fear and Gibson, it's they could do with maybe one less remix and just kind of keep, like, Wannabe is fine by itself, I feel. But I like the program. I like the vibes that they give it. Obviously, both of these programs have some kind of relation to Great Britain. So I think that they were pretty obvious choices. At least we called that this was going to be the rhythm dance super early on when we when, when we
You
figured
know,
it out. But yeah.
it's really interesting that you say that too about the remixes. I remember originally disagreeing with you, but we really hadn't seen kind of a more just straightforward Spice Girls
Hmm.
program without all
Hmm.
that. And
Hmm.
seeing it, I actually agree with you now, right? They could just let the skating freak themselves, they themselves bring the vibes. They don't need these kind of remixes to do it.
Hmm.
And it does lose out a bit on that nostalgia.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna say you're right about that one now.
Yeah, so I don't think this was quite as well skated, the rhythm dance at least,
Yeah.
as it was in France and probably the free dance as well. Um, but it's a vibe program, and one thing I have to say, between the rhythm dance and the free dance, out of the top four teams at Worlds, this team gets a lot of slack for being up there in the standings and being on the podium in the first place. But I feel like of all the top four teams, because we've seen them all now, I feel like
Hmm.
they're the only team that has really pushed it and tried to improve immensely this season. I
I
feel
agree.
like between the two programs, there's so much more content, there's so much more added difficulty, especially the free dance that I'll get into in a second. But out of all of them, I feel like they're actually pushing the most. And now, yeah, we're kind of stuck in this situation where, the teams that are first and second in the world did not score well in their first events, especially in the free dance.
Nope.
You see, this team is kind of stuck in that 125 range at best. So really, the race for what I would say is looking like a bronze medal here. I think Fear and Gibson are still in it just by virtue of they've really, really upped their content to the point where I can't say, it's a bunch of choreographic elements and crossovers and kind of open skating, because that's not the case anymore. Now,
Really,
going in,
really, it's not.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
So going into the free dance, I just have to say that Ice Academy Montreal has done this with several teams this year, but that stationary lift and the rotational lift to open the program, I mean, it is so perfectly to the music that it's such a highlight element where he has her extended. He can't have his arms straight, but it's one of those cases where he's doing the most without breaking the rules, and it just fits so well. I think that it's such a good element to start. Um, I will say, if we're just going in order of the elements, I've said this, I think, in France, but they tend to do a lot of content in between their twizzles. like in between the actual sequences that they're doing. They do their first sequence in their normal rotation, but then they do a lot of edge work and pulls and all this stuff that slows them way down to go into their second set. And we saw here a little bit close together, slowed way
Yeah.
down, a little rough. So I think it's just asking for problems by adding that much content in between. That would be a place where I would say maybe tone down what you're doing in between and maybe just make it easier so that you don't risk losing GOE there. Um, but I think the program construction is great. I'm not so I wish it was more 500 miles than anything, but I understand why it transitions to what it does. I think I said all of this before, so it's really
You did,
nothing
yeah,
new.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
just really it is a really good program though, you know. I was caught off guard too by just how smooth all the transitions are and how great it's just constructed. Like especially like you're saying, that opening combination lift, just gonna give it props again to where so
Mhm.
much of it's also the position she's able to hit,
Yep.
right? It's
Yep.
really, really pleasing. And what we're seeing in ice dance a lot this season is some great lifts without great positions, which I'm not really understanding that. And
Hmm.
it's a great contrast to what, you know, what's happening with the Shibutanis right now, which we'll talk
Hmm.
about later. But
Yeah.
I just love how when it goes from the stationary to the rotational, it just fits that music transition
Perfectly.
perfectly. Right? And this is just how you should be choreographing programs. The music matters, everybody.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
I don't understand how some teams only gotten this. But again, like, you know, you said a lot of it. Again, I really love this. You know, they end with choreographic element, but they're the team that just knows how to do that well. How to like make them all moments. And
Right.
it all just feels like it flows really well to me. You know, from the choreographic step slide to the choreographic twizzles, and they just end on this just like really nice high note.
Mhm.
It's really one of my favorite programs this season, and I didn't expect it to be. Expected it to be a little campy, a little bit like whatever, but it's just so enjoyable. And weirdly enough, the hotel I'm staying at right now, there's legitimately a bagpipe convention going on. And so, like, every time I walk downstairs the lobby and I hear these bagpipes, I immediately go to this program and it makes me want to do the da 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 da. Like, it's sticking with me in a really good way. Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing else I have to say is they really are, if you look at when all these choreographic elements came into play in 2018, 2019, this was the team. They were nobodies back then basically. And I remember they
Yeah.
went to Skate America and then they went to NHK that first year and I think they might have even won the free dance there. It was some weird situation where they won the free dance or they were second at the free dance. They finished off the podium. But the thing is that they were just the masters of these choreographic elements and making them matter and getting the most GOE out of them that they could. Like I said in the past, it mostly was just bouncing from choreographic element to choreographic element with not much in between. But really, I this is the one thing that is sticking with me is that they've really tried to up it. And even the elements, Lila Fear gets a lot of slack for not being as good as Lewis, but
Mhm.
it's true, she's not, but I feel like she's trying to make the effort to improve as to where we see some of these other teams where they just put out the same content year after year and hope for the big scores. So I think they're in good shape to even with Fournier, Beaudry, Cizeron, being up there, and we think they're going to be the favorites for the gold medal. I still think they have a chance to get onto that podium with
I agree
the
with you.
content they
Yeah, I agree with you, especially after how much weakness we saw from, you know, the gold silver teams from last
have. Mhm.
season, right? Uh, they're Fear and Gibson are way more prepared. These programs already feel fully cooked, where I feel like the top two look really, really rough.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah. But moving on to second place, Guignard and Fabbri, which is a bit of surprise that they had to have this comeback. And I'm just gonna start off with the skating was a lot better. You know,
Mhm.
just from when we first saw them in Grand Prix France to here, again, just a way more solid overall. All, you know, still not completely clean like we saw in the rhythm dance. And they seem to have gotten the memo slightly with that rhythm dance by changing at least the middle piece of
Mhm.
music. But
Mhm.
otherwise, the choreography is the same, and
Mhm.
I'm just not a fan. It's
Mhm.
just still a little cringe to me.
Yeah.
It's just not authentic. It doesn't really work. Yeah, it's like almost like a caricature of a
Mhm.
90s program more than an actual 90s program, but I don't know about you.
Mhm. Yeah, same thing. I am a huge cheerleader of the team, and I have been for a long time. I feel like it's just such a miss. I still really believe that they needed to go back to the drawing board on this program completely and just withdraw from this competition. I mean, they come away with a silver medal. It was pretty close in the free dance. People are going to say, why would you withdraw when you're kind of redeeming yourself here? But I just think they needed time to reanalyze everything they were doing and potentially work a little
Yeah.
bit more on the free dance as well. They chose not to. They're not going to make the Grand Prix final with a fourth and a second place. So they have some time now that they have to do Italian nationals, obviously, but they have some time before Europeans and then the Olympics. I'm not getting the vibe of the rhythm dance. I do want to mention really quickly, she was involved in a collision prior to the rhythm dance with the Japanese ice dance team, and she first there was like a bad translation that said she was knocked unconscious, which isn't true, but I think she was definitely feeling kind of the
Yeah.
effects of that crash. They did skate well. One thing I will say moving into the free dance is that they showed in the warm up a clip of Marco going through his twizzles, and I had made the comment prior to the free dance. I'm like, this is not going to go well. And then you see in surprisingly enough, though, he was the one I was paying attention
Yeah.
to. He was clunking around, and she was the one that I actually think got the lower level in the end. Um,
On the
but
freelance, oh, they both got
yeah,
four. Yeah, yeah.
they did get moved. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, okay,
But yeah, I would agree with you. You could feel that caution too. You could feel
yeah.
like how much it slowed down, especially in that second set of
Hmm.
Twizzles. Like that's
Hmm.
definitely something they're thinking through and not performing,
Yeah.
And I don't know if that changes at all. I even felt that in the 1 foot turns too. Again,
Yeah.
still a lot stronger, but there was this concentration level.
Hmm.
And what really stuck out to me is that, again, they're going for this softer music. They're going for
Hmm.
this almost free dance, almost like I am inspired, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the way they perform isn't soft. They're
Yeah.
not like soft skaters. They're way more dynamic, which
Yeah.
it, I could feel that contrast really bad in the free dance, especially from Charlene, to where so much of what she's doing is not fluid. It's very like straight. It's stiff, especially these exits out of the lifts. I'm not feeling this fluid body movement that goes with the music. It's just this
Hmm.
stiff extension done, and
Yeah.
it's just a mismatch. So for me, a lot of this just still doesn't work at all.
Yeah, and I think that the big part of that is once again we go to Fear and Gibson and say, they've learned how to really capitalize on the correct music and the correct vibes for everything. And here we've talked about this in France, I'm pretty sure, and we talked about it, I know, with their Worlds last year, their free dance, how nothing was timed really correctly to the music, and it
Yeah,
didn't really match. And then you're losing out on GOE. You're getting +1, +2, maybe +3 instead of the +4, +5 they can potentially get. I still think they have a lot of complexity directly into and out of a lot of the elements, but when they're not, I see 100% what you're saying. They kind of bomb into a lot of elements, and this music doesn't really ask for that. You need to
right.
have like a softer kind of touch to it. I respect that they give that power to everything and those skating skills. I think their skating skills are still there. I think that he's looking his age, if we will say. And I think that probably once again, they're about probably 2 years past their prime, and it's just not good timing for them. But I still think, comparatively to a lot of the field, they still have better skating skills than most of them. Again, they might not be so well trained because they started the season late. But I do like the free dance. I do agree with you that the content in between, and not in between in the sense like going into the elements, because that's good. It's just there's a lot of open pockets, which is true of a lot of teams, but with this team they have the ability to do a little bit more. But I do like the overall program. I'm happy they had some kind of comeback. They're like within a point
Yeah,
of Fear and Gibson in the freelance, and I mean
too.
Fear and Gibson skated 2 points.
Yeah,
So, but they Fear and Gibson skated really well. So I don't think all is lost. I just think once again they needed to go back to the drawing board for the rhythm dance, because I don't think it's a hit. Once again I think that the timing of the elements, which really doesn't even matter in the rhythm dance because there's no time anyways, but I just think that it's giving judges reason to hold their GOE down, and
yeah,
ultimately that's where the control comes in when it's a close competition and all the levels are kind of stuck at 2 or 3 on these big elements. So yeah, I think that's what they should have done, is
yeah.
withdrawn, but
And just to talk about that too, we Tony and I harp on this a lot about how important it is to do elements to the music. I mean, if you look at the features, you can pretty much get 1 to 3 features for that, right? And so if a judge is like, "Oh, that's definitely so perfect with the music," that literally can add 2 GOE to
yeah,
the
yeah.
element.
And just really, before you go on about that, just to explain really quickly for people that haven't, because the rubric is kind of hard to find, honestly. If you maneuver through the ISU website, you have to click on a
These
bunch
days,
of
I
different.
know you have to go to
Yeah,
USFS site now.
exactly. That's what I end up finding most of the time when I Google it. So, but in ice dance, to get positive GOE, there's this list of features that you accumulate, and there's a list of negative features, and then when you count up what the total is, plus and minus everything, 1 to 2 positive features in the end is a +1, and so on to 9 to 10 positive features, or at least nine, I
Nine
think
or
it is.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the
+5.
is a +5. So that's how it works. And what we just said is if you're getting a +3 features for it matching the music and all of this stuff, you're literally jumping now from a +3 to potentially a +5 as long as there's no negative features in there. Now, one thing that we also just relating this to full circle, if you have any negative features at all, any at all, then the highest you can be capped at, regardless if you have every other positive feature, is a +3. And that's where we take some of the issue with some of the top skaters and the elements they do,
Right.
because we feel like there should always be at least one negative feature. Anyways, okay, going
Right.
back, continue on with what you were saying.
That's really just it, right? And that's just what holds has been holding them back so much. And it's something to where I really wish teams were more self-reflective about this. Instead of thinking like, hey, we got cheated, we should have gotten these scores. I think this should be like, hey, what is getting these other teams this GOE? Like a team
Hmm.
like Fear and Gibson, right? Because they're bringing vibes, they're bringing things that
Right.
go with the music, and that's literally part of the rubric. So
Hmm.
why not do it? And it's the
Right.
one too. We all have lizard brains. It's the one that sticks with you the most. It's
Of
the one that
course.
connects with you. It's the one that's the most emotional. So when you have that internal bias about something, that's where it's going to come out. Like, so yeah, rant
Mhm.
over. Get the memo, everybody, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Green and Parsons finished with bronze medal. Um, Obviously, Cup of China, they had that fall on the twizzles he had in the rhythm dance, and that sent them out of the competition. They didn't. They ultimately withdrew. Here, they get through the competition. This is the first time I've seen their free dance. Uh, Rhythm dance.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same as before. It was better, but it's just still just really missing the mark for me.
Mhm.
I wrote here that like, in the no-touch steps where they do that posing section, I just start cringing because it doesn't
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
genuine from them. It doesn't feel genuine from the 90s. Again, it feels like some type of caricature, right?
Hmm.
Like a bunch of high school kids who just came up with something for a show, for
Hmm.
homecoming
Hmm.
rally, things like that. It's
Hmm.
just not really getting it. And then the Twizzles were really messy in that second set.
Yeah,
You could see her just really kind of, I think she puts her foot down early. I don't
yeah.
really remember exactly what it was or if that was the free dance where she does that. But yeah, it's just something.
It was the
It
free
wasn't
dance
really
that she did
clean.
that.
Oh, okay,
That
yeah, the free dance. Yeah,
she
yeah,
came
yeah.
down a little bit short. Yeah, but I
And
mean
this
through
was the
both
check to the rhythm
programs.
dance.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
so it just didn't sing to me as a whole program. And when you're looking at both scores here from the rhythm dance to the free dance, especially their free dance score, which they are, aside from the twizzle mistake, are clean, is really
Hmm.
low.
Hmm.
112 is a really low score,
Yeah.
especially if you want to make the Olympic team for the United States. So
Hmm.
this just really kind of sings to me that like maybe they're out of the teams after Chalk and Bates of
Hmm.
the next three, they're the bottom of those next three.
Yeah. I would tend to agree. Their camp, just their camp. If I had one word, it's vanilla. Like the programs just are really ordinary. They don't really have anything that stand out. I think the choices, unfortunately, this year, I mean, skating to I'm Too Sexy, which is, several other teams are doing this as well. This is literally like a high school version, and I feel like the American teams, time after time again, this is what we've been saying this year. They kind of pale in comparison to any kind of vibes. It's just there, and it looks like a talent show, like you said. So yeah, I don't really get a vibe from that. I feel like her packaging is like an extension of last year. I feel like they could be skating to these boots are made for walking again, which is neither here nor
Right.
there because they're not. But I just feel like it's kind of stuck in one level. Free dance now the music is really interesting. It's just a combination of so many things, and then when you think it's done, you have this whole ending that's just completely different. It's Jean-Luc Baker who choreographed it, who I always love what he does. He did a really good free dance for them last year. I don't hate this free dance, but as we already mentioned, the dance spin I think was top level. I think that might have been the best dance spin I've seen all
Yeah.
year. I don't think that I'm pretty sure I didn't go back and look, but I don't think the GOE was what it should have been.
It was
Um,
threes and fours,
Oh, it was
mostly
okay.
fours.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. The rotational lift. Now it's fine to begin and it's all whippy, but then they do these changes of position and it just ends up looking sloppy. And this again is another GOE thing where I understand you're trying to put the content in, trying to get the levels, trying to get the dynamics up, but it just looks sloppy, and that's giving them reason to not give you the best scores. Second Twizzles, as we already mentioned, she definitely came down like a little bit
Early.
short.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Um, and then one thing that I just hate, and I wish this wasn't a thing anymore, just constructive notes. that second half when they do a curve lift, the first half of the curve lift is good, but the second curve lift, she does this like her legs are wrapped around his waist, but they're extended, and she's like out backwards. Like I just hate that position. I hate it so much.
Totally agree with you. It's just really awkward too, that
Yeah,
transition into it. Because I
yeah,
start really liking this element. Like,
yeah,
oh, this curve lift is really great. Oh, it's a curve combination. I'm like, oh no. Yeah, I just didn't get
yeah.
it. It's so these
Doesn't
a
fit.
lot of a lot of choices like this. And I
Hmm.
feel like they're trying to be like, what are elements that'll stand out
Hmm.
for this free
Yeah,
dance? And that was
yeah,
the focus instead of thinking about one program. And
yeah,
again, there's at least one team out there who's doing everything right, right? In
yeah,
terms of
yeah,
thinking about the elements and thinking about something as a whole program.
yeah.
And I and I wrote here too, even going to the choreographic steps, I'm like, they're trying to give mood, but I'm not
Hmm.
here for what they're giving.
Hmm.
Like it's just not working for me. Um, it's I wrote here that the music felt like something that Amber Glenn rejected. It's like not serious ice dance to me. Like, and it wasn't. Like, and it's just yeah, it's just so much its program choice. And I still remember when they first teamed up that first year, I really
Yeah,
liked that free dance they did. And ever
yeah,
since then, I felt like they're trying to replicate that magic in some way, and it just has not been working. Almost even just go back to that, and rework it even and bring it back. Because everyone else is doing it, you might as well too.
yeah, yeah. And everybody still remembers that program. A lot of people thought that was a masterpiece, and this is going to be the next great team. And I think they were sixth at Worlds that year, I think. Um, I really liked their free dance last year too. I feel like it flew by. I thought the choreography was great. This year I'm kind of indifferent. I don't hate it. I
Mm.
certainly don't hate it. But it's just all the way down to what the back of his outfit, like the shirt has like a big cutout in it, and I don't know if there's like a plate up against his back or what, but it's thanks Paul Poirier. I think thank him for all of these cutouts that we have this year. But yeah, it's just interesting choices. It's I don't really know what the vibe of it is. I would have to have a whole explanation, which is never a good thing.
Right.
But I don't think it was that bad. I think that it's going to be the content they need to get onto the Olympic team.
I don't think so.
Yeah. It's just the camp needs someone to come in that's not I don't know what it even is. I feel like it's like this Catholic school version of everything needs to be so proper, but then when you're trying to do something that's not proper, it's all weird and just looks funny and it just goes nowhere. So unfortunately for them, they're on the outside looking in, I would say going into nationals for
Yeah,
sure.
totally agree. And then right off the podium is the Tashlers, right? And this is even after finishing sixth in the free dance,
Hmm.
fourth overall.
Yeah.
And what I just sensed from them the whole time, both programs, it felt undertrained.
Yeah.
And they're giving it full everything, right? They're really trying to give that full performance. They're giving face. They're just trying to like get all the vibes out there. But I just kept thinking sloppy, sloppy,
Hmm.
sloppy, especially
Hmm.
from her, right? So like I really love that they're using J-Lo in the rhythm dance. I don't think we've really seen a J-Lo
Hmm.
program. I really love that they're even using like a straight line lift in the rhythm dance. Just again, I'm gonna just point that out because
Yeah.
everyone else is just using a rotational, and I'm
Yeah.
just so over it. And I really love the pattern step that they were doing, but just all the transitions, everything within the elements, all the choreography, unfinished.
Yeah.
And it was really bad for me in those choreographic steps too, where just like none of the lines were good. I
Hmm.
think she does this like leg kick thing, or I'm not sure if that's the free dance because my brain's like
I think both
overloaded.
programs have weird
Both okay.
but I think
Yeah,
you're
and
thinking
it's
of the
just
free dance.
sloppy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but it's just really sloppy all the way through, right? And
Yeah.
even just the start too of the free dance to me, that choreographic spin, not
Nope.
smooth at
Nope.
all. And
Nope.
I'm looking at here, and some judges were giving like four in GOE, and I'm like, what are you watching? I'm more
Right.
here with the German judge giving a one,
Yeah.
like it just wasn't good.
Yeah.
And so like, and it's Matrix, which I think they don't even lean into it well enough.
No.
I feel like they're trying to go for some vibe to the Matrix, but
Hmm.
they kind of just don't really get it, especially
Hmm.
when you see that choreographic step toward the end, to where they try to do these nods, right? And they do that whole like, oh, the back slow thing. Why not just lean into that and make it
Yeah.
Matrix?
Yeah.
Make it like do that shadow fighting, do all these things, right?
Yeah.
Make a lift almost like where she's doing like the crane that spins around in the air, something like
Yeah.
that, to where you're really doing these nods to the movies. This is why you're skating to the Matrix. Everybody knows it. This is why you have green on your outfits. Everybody
Yeah.
knows it. Then why not just actually make the program about it too?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So funny enough, there was a comment that got ended up getting deleted from the video last week, but someone was like, you guys don't have to agree with each other 100% of the time. But in this instance, I'm 100% agreeing. I think in ice dance, we both know what is good and what's not good and where things are getting judged. I have to say 100% agree with the choreographic spin that opens the program. It literally looks like he's almost dropping her the way her knee hits
Right.
the ice. And from that point when that happened, it just slowed down immensely. I don't know how this is a +4 element. I would change that immediately
Right.
because it just looks sloppy and that is not how you want to start the program. And then they did a spiral on the 1 foot turns, which we said Gillis and Poirier were doing that last week, and we saw it was not a good option. Here they do this spiral. I forget who it was. I think it was Mino and Sand that used to do this spiral where she goes underneath and on and through. I
Don't
think
remember
it
that at
was
all.
them, some one pair team, and so I know I should remember. I think it was Mino and Sand, but they're doing this like a variation of this as well. So they're upping this cool kind of feature within the 1 foot steps. Uh, but yeah, the thing about that I noticed about him is he was staring at her the entire time through this sequence because I think he had to just make sure they were exactly in the right position to be able to pull this out. So then it adds tentativeness for him throughout the elements. So it's like, well, if you're going to be missing your edges or your turns, then what is the trade-off of trying to do this difficult content? Um, I would say there are so many instances in this program where it's like they're almost sitting on the ice doing these kind of
Right.
non-movements, and that bothers me. And I 100% agree that the Matrix, first of all, this is another instance of where almost every program we've seen to it, they all have these like black and green, which I understand, but there's like no vibe coming out of 99% of the programs. And I do agree, if you're going to do the Matrix and you're going to have these instances where you do kind of refer to the movie or some kind of movement to it, then you need to make the whole program that way and not just like vibes elements like we saw towards the end, the choreographic
Mhm.
steps. Again, I think that they do too much time. I just noticed they actually like sit or get into these low positions and really don't go anywhere, and that kind of bothered me. I'm not a massive fan of the program.
Not same. Yeah, I'm really not a fan of the programs either. I do agree that they needed to make this move away from Zani, especially when they fell behind the Mracheks or the Mrascovi, however you would refer to them.
Mhm,
But this program is really a really big miss. I
mhm.
like the rhythm
Yeah,
dance though. I really do like it.
yeah.
It's just the free dance, just no.
Mhm.
I remember so little about it except these few things I just really
Yeah,
disliked. You know
yeah,
what I mean? And that's not great
yeah.
when my impression is here are the things I don't like and
Mhm,
really nothing that's sticking with me that I really enjoyed.
mhm.
Yeah.
Wolfe-Costin and Sarevsky are surprisingly fifth place. I know that you
Yeah.
had a lot to say, especially with the rhythm dance, so go ahead and start.
Oh, yeah, I do. So I really felt like the judges lowballed them, especially since they're more or less an up and coming team, but the skating was really, really strong.
Hmm.
Um, Other than the distance and the twizzles, right? Best twizzles in the event. And then the rhythm dance for me, right? It should have been a +3, right? It has that negative feature of they're a little bit too far apart, but everything else was great. Covered a lot of great ice. Rotational speed, both sets were really good. Like it really smooth transitions like in between the two. It felt really smooth going in and out. And so to me, I'm seeing here judges give them 1 and 2, and that's just really lowballing them.
Yeah, yeah.
Even the US judge gives them a 2 and GOE in that, right? And
Hmm.
so I felt like when it came to expression, it was all like really genuine too. I'm like, hey, take note. This is how you do a more genuine expression to the Backstreet Boys.
Hmm.
Here it is, right? And
Hmm.
here's that program.
Yeah.
And and so like I'm looking at their PCS here, all in the high sevens average, and I'm like, that should have pushed eights in presentation,
Hmm.
composition,
Hmm.
really should have. Um, so I felt like they were at least a place too low in the rhythm dance.
Hmm.
I would have had
Hmm.
them above the Taschlers. I really felt that the Taschlers were really overscored in PCS for the most part.
Hmm.
Same story. I really do feel in the free dance, and they actually are fourth in the free dance. I would have put them
Hmm.
third in the free dance. For me, like above Green and
Hmm.
Parsons,
Hmm.
and a lot of that's because their PCS was rank 6, which
Yeah.
again did not get. I really enjoyed this whole like Kill Bill aspect. Like I was someone I feel like an everyday person, right? Watching this, it's just like, is her dress bloody? And I'm like, yes, it is.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so it was really strong skating. I do again feel like they're really lowballed on a lot of these elements here. They're better than the GOE they're getting. And I'm looking here too, even that choreographic slide, right? The Italian judge gives it a 0.
Yeah.
Sure.
They got to make sure that
Like
their team is comfortably ahead in this
exactly,
competition.
right? It's the same thing too, diagonal the step sequence gives it a 1 GOE. And to me, granted, like I will say that their steps and turns weren't my favorite, weren't the
Hmm.
cleanest, but they
Hmm.
kept the speed up. They didn't slow down. They always kept the
Hmm.
performance through. And so I'm giving this at least a 2, right? Like
Hmm.
I anyway, you're seeing that here too in the PCS rank story from ranked third to eight amongst the
Hmm.
panel. And so I think it's just
Hmm.
one of these problems with ice dance judging and that panels don't really know what to do with the new or up and coming team. They really don't. And you see some judges more or less trying to judge what's out there and some just trying to feel like, what's everyone else going to do? Where should they be ranked?
I'm kind of,
I,
we don't 100% agree here. I will say rhythm dance, Backstreet
yeah,
Boys, they definitely have a better program than Guignard and Fabbri.
yeah,
100%. Free dance, it's Kill Bill. I love the movie. I love the soundtrack. I love almost every song on the soundtrack. I do feel like though, because this comes from the same camp that we discussed with Green and Parsons,
yeah,
I feel like this is a little bit of a vanilla interpretation. And I usually do with Kill Bill. There have been a few good ones, but I
yeah, no
wasn't
one's really doing it.
so, it was nice. It was definitely it was good. I'll say it was good. I wasn't blown away. Um, I think that some of the elements could have been choreographed a little bit better to
Yeah,
what the music that they did have. But definitely impressive to be in this position. I think this is a huge surprise. And this kind of jumps right into the next team because it's the Shibutanis, but now you have a team that's very mid-range in the US, hasn't really broken through it in any sense, and they're beating the Shibutanis in this competition.
right.
So
And they're not even in that, like, at least before this season, we wouldn't even thought of them a bit in that, like, Olympic spot race,
no,
right? And I
yeah,
don't think they
no,
are now.
no.
Honestly, they're still really not, but they're a lot stronger than I think we thought they'd come out,
Hmm.
being in this season, right?
Hmm.
And I think, like, they're being just judged down slightly. Again,
Hmm.
I would have had them bronze here at this
Hmm.
competition, but that's
Well,
just me.
yeah.
Um, and so you just going into the next team, the Shibutanis definitely deserved this placement. I thought they were a little hosed in the rhythm dance, but the free dance, very accurate scoring, in
Hmm.
my opinion. But let's just talk about their return a little bit. So do you want to
Hmm.
like get started on the big
Yeah.
controversy around them?
Yeah, so
Um,
we actually thought about making just one specific video about this controversy that came out, I think, about a month ago. Um, Dave Lease provided like an 11-minute video of their closed session training, but it was they never turned the cameras off within the ring. So there's this website called Live Barn that you can watch the skating, and it's just basically 11 minutes of Alex going off on Maya, basically saying she's lazy, and that in the car they talk about doing all these things, and then they get on the ice and she doesn't want to do anything or she doesn't want to work, and very condescending to her, F bombs everywhere. It's like his favorite word to say. She kind of just stands in place and doesn't even acknowledge it for a few minutes, but then she gives it back a little bit finally, but it's just a mess. And then we believe it to be their mom. I don't know if it was ever confirmed. I'm assuming it is, but she just stands on the sidelines and doesn't really say anything. So the big thing about this is, I don't care that it came out, whatever, Dave Lease, you can say what you want about him, and I'm sure, people will say what they want about him. But the fact of the matter is, we have a team that is so calculated from the beginning in their social media and their presence and this lovey-dovey, like we mean so much to each other and we just want all the best for each other and everything is great. And then you see this other side of it and you're like, wow, they're really human. Now, this is brother and sister. I'm not saying that it was right at all. Like it wasn't right at
right.
all. It just kind of completely tarnishes what we knew about their personalities, and that was the big thing. I almost
Yeah.
honestly thought that Christine Brennan was going to jump on this story because she loves a good story, especially in the Olympic season, to make herself more relevant again, but she did not. And it kind of got brushed over. It was on social media and that was it. And then finally during this competition it was brought up and they said something to the extent of, oh, we still support each other, it was just the heat of the moment, like we whatever. So it did get brushed off. Now they still continue to get these endorsements for potentially looking like Olympic team. They're getting some big endorsements, and I think that's ultimately what their goal probably was because I feel like
Yeah.
were not as relevant anymore, and they needed this social media boost to get them there. But anyways, so that being said, we can't really judge them for that video, but then the content, let's just go into it.
Yeah, yeah, and just like on that too, I don't want to like go too much into it. I just want to like talk my own reaction to the video was just very much like it made my stomach hurt like when I was a
Hmm.
kid,
Hmm.
and it brought me back to a lot of that too. And
Hmm.
so, I do understand a lot of people's feelings about it. But again, we try to focus on the skating here, and if we're just talking about the skating, also not that great.
Hmm.
Like, so
Yeah.
starting with the rhythm dance, the costumes that are marketing themselves, like, no.
I don't
I
mind it.
Yeah, but then you're going back to this idea of like a return. It's about this idea of endorsements. It's about that whole thing, about playing the social media game, the promotion
Hmm.
game, right? Which
Hmm.
they've always been really great at.
Hmm.
This is just a bit too in your face about
Hmm.
it, which I
Yeah.
did not enjoy. But
Yeah.
I like the opening of the program. I actually thought it was really good. Like I felt like the judges started lowballing them in the
Yeah.
the midline
Yeah.
steps. Sorry, the no touch steps. Like I didn't really understand some of this low GOE. I thought the Twizzles were better than they got judged for too.
Hmm.
I'm seeing here ones in GOE, same
Hmm.
with the midline step, especially when they're performing. Like so much of what the other teams really don't do is they just take this time to this heavy, fast music and the no touch
Hmm.
steps, but the steps are really slow. The movements are just kind of like maybe every other beat or every
Hmm.
fourth beat, right? They're
Hmm.
really not performing to the music, where the Shibutanis are.
Hmm.
It's wasn't the cleanest, it's not at the level they were at, but again, these first two elements, in my opinion, were judged lower than they should have
Hmm.
been. And then
Hmm.
after that, though, it started to fall apart, especially in the pattern step for me. They slowed way down. It looked like they haven't been skating, in
Yeah.
almost a decade, right? And it's
Yeah.
true. Like, that's what you see here, right? And they're still coming back from that. And then with the choreographed rhythm step, I actually really liked it. Mostly because they're in hold like the entire time. They're not just trying to like vibe in place. It felt almost like they're doing a more 90s style step sequence in just the short axis, right? Like where the element lives. And so I actually really liked it, but I think because it wasn't flashy, it wasn't in your face. They
Yeah.
weren't just trying to go for full face and vibes and side by side skating that was just like pointing at the judges the entire time. They didn't get the GOE for it. Could also
Hmm.
be reputation. And then like rotational lifts, like it's kind of just where
Yeah.
I was on that.
Yeah.
It was not great coverage. It just if you're going to end in rotational lift, it has to be really strong,
Hmm.
right? Was not fast. Rotational
Hmm.
speed, not great. Did not cover a lot of ice. Got deservedly low GOE.
Hmm.
And then rhythm dance, the PCS, the judges were all over the place. Like literally all over the place. You have one judge, the US judge, ranking them second in PCS, and you have one judge tying them for last, which is the Japanese judge. And then everything in between, three, four, six, seven, like
Hmm.
five. It's it's like again, it seems like the judges didn't know what to do with them. And I think that's really bad when the skating couldn't speak for itself. And that just shows, unlike, Fournier, Baudry, and Cizeron, where more or less the skating spoke for itself, right? Like
Hmm.
you can't give them low PCS, low GOE because their performance doesn't let you.
Yeah.
Whereas here, yeah, not great. Carries through and gets worse in the free dance, in my opinion. But do you have anything on the rhythm dance before I really go on this tirade?
Yeah, I want you to go on that tirade. So the rhythm dance has eight songs, I think. So it's like Chalk and Bates redux of last year's rhythm dance. At first, I was kind of like, ugh. But I think as a concept, you know what? It's a pretty good program. I think that their foundational skating still shines through for the most part, but where it looks not so good is the tentativeness and how
Yeah,
slow they were, even in between everything that could pick up over the season. I would have wished, again, we don't know exactly when they started to making this serious comeback, when they really started training again. I knew as of October last year during Skate America that there was a potential that they were coming back. They were looking into. I was assuming they were already skating by that point, but that's already been a year, so I'm not so sure that that's accurate. I don't know when they really
right.
picked up the pace and said we're going for this. Everything just looks everything looks old and tired, which, they're older now. They haven't been skating in a long time. I think they could get better, but it's just not
Yeah.
it's just
And
it's not my favorite.
it's really not, right? And then I just, their coaches right now are Marina Zueva and Massimo Scali, right? So they
Yeah.
don't really have a technical coach,
Hmm.
which seems like a huge mistake
Hmm.
in today's ice dance. You really need that. But just going to the free dance, they're bringing back Fix You. And I know a lot of people were like criticizing this choice for using a program, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I didn't have a problem with that idea. Especially again in a year where so many skaters teams are bringing back older programs or making
Hmm.
1.5, 2.0 versions.
Hmm.
But for me, the biggest miss is that they didn't learn from the mistake of the original
Yeah.
Fix You. So just going back into history, 2015, they debut Fix You at a Challenger, and I remember watching this, and I'm like, this program is so boring, literally monotonous. Literally nothing works. You're just going
Hmm.
through, and it felt like I'm just waiting for this to be over.
Hmm.
And they fix it by just this small real fix, and Peter Chernyshев is the one who choreographs the original. And
Hmm.
it's just, oh, what's so monotonous? Okay, let's break up the middle. And they do this circular step sequence, and in it, they put the scientist, some piano version, violin version of the scientist. And it's really nice. It gives this different vibe. Scientist is a bit more melancholic, romantic. And then it goes back into Fix You for the Twizzles. It becomes this huge highlight. It gets the
Hmm.
crowd
Hmm.
going. I
Yep.
remember being in Boston and everyone's just like losing their minds.
The
You
best,
know,
probably the best timed, the
yeah,
out of
best
any
time Twizzle.
Twizzle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real, exactly right. They learned, and maybe that first team to truly make the Twizzles the peak highlight of the program. The
Hmm.
climax of it.
Hmm.
And then here, though, they go back to using 100% Fix You, and it's
Right.
the same problem. It's just
Hmm.
monotonous. And the
Hmm.
Twizzles do not work as a highlight because just by the time the Twizzles hit, I'm just so bored waiting for this program to be over. And I haven't even gone through and criticized a lot of these elements that they're doing, right? But like, it never builds. It never builds to this moment. Whereas the original, it learned how to build to this moment.
Hmm.
So how can you bring this back and then repeat the very same mistake as the
Right.
original?
Yeah.
It's just to
Makes,
me no sense. No
yeah.
sense. It's upsetting to me as just like somebody who's a nerd about the sport who really wants to study it. And I'm just like, so they're surrounded by people who have not learned the history and lessons of the past,
Yeah.
their own history and lessons
I
they should have learned from the past.
I understand why people are kind of like, how could you? So they did use Fix You in 2016 when they were silver medalists at Worlds,
Yep.
and then they had a Coldplay free dance in 2018. They modified that slightly so that there was a little few seconds of Fix You in that as well. So I understand when people are saying, you're going to come back and make this whole comeback story, and then you're using a program that you've already had, and then now this extra layer of now you're going back to the original version of this program that had problems, and you had to change it to get it to where it was, just doesn't make sense. And I'm actually very kind of surprised that Massimo Scully was behind. A lot of it is the same. Like the
Man,
Twizzles are the exact same as they were before. So it's not 100% him. It's more of the concepts from the past just being thrown back in.
right.
But I just don't understand the choice
I don't
really
get
at
it
all.
either. And even then, it's the element design is so bad. I'm so upset just as like somebody who I thought better of this team.
Hmm.
Because they pretty much have to like rework almost the entire program, right? To make
Hmm.
it work with today's
Hmm.
rules, the three choreographic
Yeah.
elements and everything like that. But like, they now open with that step sequence, which I actually thought was strong. I actually really
Mm.
enjoyed the opening step sequence. It's
Yeah.
everything after that that's just really bad. And you
Yeah.
can see that they're a team who hasn't really been skating at the competitive level for like 8 years in the 1 foot turns
Hmm.
because these almost their entire competition has had almost a decade with this element. And so they've learned how to keep up the speed. They've learned how to like make the patterns big. They learn these little tricks
Hmm.
here and there, right? To
Hmm.
just give a better impression. This is just basic. This is worse than you'll see in juniors. Their 1 foot
Right.
turns.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just slows down so much. Huge negative features. I'm giving at
Right.
least
Right.
negative two negative features for how much it slows down. And
Hmm.
then the way it ends, it just almost ends in place. And it's not even
That
necessarily
one.
by
Yep.
design.
Yep.
It's just like, again, by the fact that they have not had practice with this element. And that's like the first thing that I feel like tells the story for the rest of it. Like
Hmm.
the combination lift is just awful because it's just slow, right?
Yeah.
None of the positions are good. None of them are pleasing, and it's just skating through the music. It's all the problems that so many of these ice dance teams have today,
Yeah.
to where it's just the music is irrelevant to what's going
Yeah.
on. And it's like that completely in this program until the
Yeah.
Twizzles, where
Yeah.
every element is irrelevant to the music. Like it's
Yeah.
just there's nothing matching. It's like the music was put right on top after the program was already designed. Like the only good element that I enjoyed was that straight line lift,
The
and
beat.
it's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
It's change of position. It's to the music. It's musical.
Yeah, I will say even in the straight line lift though, there's a lot going on, and that is the one lift where I'm like, okay, it's more than something ordinary. So there's
Right,
that. Like that is the one standout element, but even that has a lot going on, and it's not really that smooth yet. So even that kind of has
right.
not such a great, feeling out of it. I think that they're looking on the outside looking in, obviously, right now. If we're looking at where
Yeah,
they're, going to be stacked at nationals, if this competition, we're just going by this, they're going to probably end up seventh or eighth, realistically, because
yeah.
that's just, that's what it is. I do think that they have, we'll see about Finlandia. I feel like they still will go to that competition, but then they risk being behind other US teams. I don't know what their goal is now. To me, just really quickly looking at how they looked at each other and didn't really have anything to say in both programs in the Kiss and Cry, especially the free dance, I do not think they were happy with those scores at all. I think they thought they deserved a lot more. I don't really know why. But or maybe they just had the realization like this isn't working out how we thought we would be able to just go back
I'm
into
like, though,
competition.
like their team should have been watching and being like, hey,
Yeah,
let's look at a run through here. And so
yeah,
I don't know what's going
yeah,
on other than that's surrounded by people who are out of touch of what modern ice
yeah,
dance looks like, or they're just
yeah,
surrounding themselves with yes people, because that was just,
yeah,
there's no way you look at this free dance and think this is a winner. It's
yeah,
not. It's not.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
like a go back to the drawing board. Like none of the
yeah,
lifts positions are great other than
yeah,
that straight line lift, which is
yeah,
cool, but like nothing's compelling, nothing's to the
yeah,
music.
yeah.
Even then, it's the choreographic steps, right? Like they just weren't paying attention to all the exclamations happening this season, to where
Hmm.
literally they have a moment at the beginning where their
Too
arms
far
are reached
apart.
out
Yeah,
and they're
yeah,
not touching.
yeah.
Like, guys,
Hmm.
you're just literally telling like the panel exclamation. You're literally
Hmm.
giving them the very clear idea that we are farther than two arms lengths apart
Yeah, yeah,
exclamation. Like
yeah,
it's and it's just not flashy again. It's that same
yeah.
thing to where they're going for something really understated, maybe like fast and rhythmic, right? Again, more like a 90s, early 2000s step sequence, but it's just not what the judges go for today.
Hmm.
And they weren't going to be the ones to set a new trend. They're really not.
Right, right.
And then ending with the choreographic twizzles that
What? Like
just
what?
do
Like
nothing, do nothing.
that's
They do
but that's
nothing.
the thing. Like if you're this is your one element that you're known for, you're gonna end with it and it's a bunch of nothing. It makes no sense to me. That's what I was going to say
It's
too. The same thing.
yeah, skating through the music. It's just
Yeah.
skating through. So, it's such a big miss, like so surprisingly, like a big miss. Uh, and again, knowing that Scully is choreographing this, I don't get it. I don't get it because he made that amazing tango free dance last year.
For the Finns.
Yeah, for the yeah, right. And then this, I don't. You wouldn't think this came out of the same person.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
You can only
so
do
bad.
so much with the level that they're at, and
That's true.
I
Yeah.
just I was one of those people that was also like, yeah, so what? Everyone goes back to these programs for the Olympic season that they probably like the best, but I think they needed something completely different because it is just a watered down version of a program that was really good. And you have to elevate it. And I don't see, unless they really rework everything and the lifts get better and the choreographic elements get better timed and cleaner and they get more speed, that this is just a flat version of something that they've already had. So it's like the retirement home version of a talent show of something that you used to be able to do really well. That's what it is at this point.
Yep. Yeah. So just really disappointing. I expected way more than what we got. And I'm definitely with you on that. The Olympic hopes, I don't think are there. It would take literally a miracle to happen at Finlandia. Their
Hmm.
level would have to just
In two
up
weeks though, how are they going
drastically
to
in
do
two
it,
weeks.
Yeah.
Well, Sway and Han did it
Yeah,
in
actually
two
that
weeks
well, no.
somehow.
Swinhan did it in one program. Let's
One
they got
program,
through
okay,
one
yeah, yeah, in
program.
the
Yeah,
short
yeah.
program, but even
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
amazing. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm still. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But the rest of the field, you have Jans van Rensburg and Stefan. Finishing right out behind the Shibutanis. I call them Jen and Ben. Just
Hmm.
not as clean. as
Oh,
we
as
saw them at
last
Skate
week.
Canada as last week. But just due to the field being what it is, they place seventh here, a place higher. But I still really enjoyed it. It's probably the best actual free dance in this competition in
Yeah.
terms of like
Yeah,
actual the choreography and construction.
100% agree. The last minute of the program, it was sloppy. I raved about this program in Skate Canada. Yes, I know the program was sloppy, and I'm not gonna say like argue otherwise, but I think the last minute of the program is choreographed so well. The
Yep.
combination lift to the music, it's always a highlight. Everything is just so good at the end of the program. They keep the intensity up. I think they're hosed a little bit on PCS, honestly. Yes, you
Me
can
too.
mark down the skating skills a little bit, but I think the choreography is head and shoulders above most of this competition, and I think also their interpretation is really, really good as well. Their performance.
Totally agree. Yeah, and you see the British judge here gave them ranked them ninth in composition. I'm like, what are you watching? This is
Yeah, yeah,
literally such a good program. It's complex.
yeah,
It's got great choreography.
yeah.
Everything's to the music. Great character. It's like a complete
Oh,
contrast to
yeah,
Shibutani's, where they're not skating through this music at all. Everything's
yeah,
to the music.
yeah.
Everything's really well done.
Yeah, and we both
But
noted this, but the one really nice thing is there is not a stop and then the choreographic steps start with this whole different vibe. They literally go right into this element, like it's a transition into the element, and it's unexpected. And that's one thing. It's just so small, but it's something we never see that it
right.
really, really
And
stands out.
and I everyone look for that too, right? And so what we're talking about here is the Germans. They end their twizzles literally right in front of the judges at the board and then go right into the choreographic step, right?
Hmm.
And so many teams are ending somewhere in the middle of the ice and then just vibing to the ends of the boards, right? And
Hmm.
then now we're starting this element.
Hmm. Hmm.
And to me, that's just most teams just have some type of poor program design in doing that.
Yeah.
And it's not even like they're doing some cool transitions or choreography from to where they stop one element and then get to the boards. They're
Hmm.
just vibing most of the time,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
this just feels really natural.
Hmm.
It feels like it's all part of just like one choreography that they're doing. And so, again, hats off. Such a good program. The
Yep.
judges who aren't giving it into the eights, just shame.
Yeah.
Where's my shame bell? Shame.
Agree. Yep.
Um, yeah, and then behind them, you have Orihara and Prinen, the other Finnish team here, right? And they're another all vibes based team,
Yep. Yep.
and they're enjoyable for that. I really do feel though they got massively overscored here in both phases. I
Yep.
did not understand it, especially in the PCS, where some literally the Italian judge ranks them third in skating skills
They
when they're a
are,
clear last.
yes,
Clear last.
100%. Yeah,
Like,
that's all the notes I have on
I,
that too. They brought
all
down
the
the
notes I
house in
have.
Boston. Literally in Boston last year, they were
Mhm.
one of the absolute favorites of the crowd, and the programs are so geared towards that fan friendliness. So
Mhm.
now we get into this issue where like we look at the technique versus people that look at the vibes, and there's this huge argument about how good they were. I think this program was so ridiculously overscored. It's not even funny. That
Which
one.
one? I mean, it applies to both,
Oh,
but
but the free dance especially, because yes, it is true both, but the free dance especially, they do this.
right.
He does this thing where he's spinning on the ice, literally like this slide movement, whatever that he's on the ice. It just looks ridiculous. It looks like it looks like that choreographic step was completely made up in place as they went, or like something went wrong and they just had to scramble to throw whatever. That's how the whole program was to me. And I understand that it is vibes, and people are going to be like, "This is such great skating. If you're gonna have to do these elements, then just make it over the top." But the skating quality has to be there, and it's just not there. It is not there. And to give them even,
Right.
they gave them the same skating skills as Fabbri and Ayer, who finished right behind them, which blows my mind. They should really, like you said, they should be the lowest in the competition, even below the Japanese team, who was making disasters all over the place in the free dance. It just makes no sense to me. Yes, I understand the presentation can be high because it does give vibes and it is so fun, but there's really not a lot of content there. It is so open. They
Right.
skate so far apart. The edges are not strong. There's
Shallow
just,
edges all the
yeah,
way through,
yeah,
not steady. Like this is
yeah,
skating skills in the sixes, and I
yeah,
don't understand it.
yeah,
Again, they're getting that like vibes PCS boost
yeah,
because like what you're saying, but I don't know understand how they didn't finish clearly last year.
yeah.
Um,
Well, and it
yeah.
wasn't
Well,
gonna. Well, yes,
aside from
yeah,
the crazy mistakes the Japanese did.
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I'm like they would have
But
had to
like
lose
in
22 points.
PCS even,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Totally agreed. I respect them for what they do, but this is in the end a judged sport. And if you have, again, if you have
Yeah.
this rubric for scoring skating skills, then you need to take that seriously and not just throw out high scores because the vibe is good for the program. And this is another Massimo
Right. And
Scully
then
program.
I love watching them. I
Yeah.
think we both love watching them, but I love
Yeah.
watching
Yeah.
them. I just, again, it's
Yeah.
one of these teams where I don't like seeing the results they get because it
Yeah.
just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those make it
100%
make
agreed.
sense moments.
Yeah.
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 And then right behind them is a team that got hosed because of this, is this
Right.
Fabbri and Ayer. And they're like an opposite to where they have all this like great basic skating, but they're
Mhm.
really struggling to find good vibes, like the vibes
I
that work
don't
for them.
understand it. Like yeah, following them on social media off the ice, he's always like dressed really well and he's really into like these kimono kind of give them like that kind of program. They give them these most or like I really think
Ordinary,
it's
generic.
not I don't want to like offend Susis and Furious, who I think have great programs this year. When they were with Ice Academy Montreal, I almost feel like they had this list of programs kind of scheduled for them for the rest of their career. And now that they ended up leaving, I feel like they're getting thrown on Fabri and Air, and it's nothing against Susis and Furious. I just feel like they were at that bottom of the hierarchy, and now Fabri and Air, for whatever reason, have taken over.
Right, and it's very clear to me too here too, especially when you've seen such brilliance come out of like IAM and then you see these programs, you would never think this came from the same camp because it's like you're saying, they're probably in the bottom of this hierarchy and that by the time it gets to them, they get like the last ideas or like I said earlier, just no ideas is what this
Hmm.
feels like. Like
Hmm.
the I just really don't get what's going on. Again, Freedance so unmemorable. The only thing I remember is her position in the dance spin, and I love that layback position.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that shouldn't be it. I should be
Yeah.
remembering these like moments of the music. I should be remembering these like moments to where like I felt something, and I just did not. It's just the
Yeah.
program is just unremarkable, and they
Hmm.
deserve so much better because they're better than this program. It's
Hmm.
a shame, and I don't know what it would take to like get them better material, whether it's a different point of view, changing coaches, because they have like a really good base. It's
Hmm.
just not being utilized.
Yeah. Yoshida Marita, I don't really want to talk about them too much because they did not have a good skate.
They
They
didn't
changed their
know.
free dance. You tore their free dance apart at the Olympic qualifier to Turndo. We were kind of interested. We didn't remember any previous program to that music, at least in ice dance, and just the layout of the program, the timing of the elements just was all a disaster. So they go back to this old free dance, and they did not skate well here at all. There is
No.
a lot to like about their basic skating,
Yeah.
and they're bombing into everything and their fearlessness, I would say, but just there's really what can we say here? It was just not a good skate.
Yeah, same thing, and I don't even remember this free dance. It's a little cringe. Just the only thing I'll say is that like at the end, they have this hawk sound where she's supposed to have this phoenix
Hmm.
moment, and I'm like, oh, I didn't enjoy it. But
Hmm.
it's way more musical and on theme than anything going on in that Turando free dance. So just for that, this was a good choice, even if it was
Hmm.
a disaster skate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, we've been talking about ice dance for an
For an
hour,
hour.
and so the next up was pairs. And here it's a lot of like the skaters we've already seen before, right? So it's now just
Hmm.
seeing these different matchups.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
the winners here are Conti and Machi, and I thought they skated, pretty well here, and I really enjoyed them. We have Pavlova and Sviatchenko, who again, are really improving at a rate that's like surprising, especially when it comes to like their performance. They've
Hmm.
kind of always hit the technical, but this was
Hmm.
really good performance wise too. And then in third, Sway and Han, and I came away impressed, almost in disbelief in the short
Yeah,
program.
me too.
And then fourth, Nagaoka and Moriguchi, the Japanese pair, which really good skates, right? And then behind them, the two U.S. teams, Efimova and Mitrofanov, and then Chan and Hao,
Yeah.
right? And so, go ahead, yeah.
Conti Matsi, the short program. I actually, you know what? You like this team. You like the vibes that they give off, and I'm kind of in the middle. But in this competition, for whatever reason, the pairs event was where it was really at. I mean, there was such good skating.
Hmm.
I really enjoyed them. Now, the short program, I like. The side by side spins were amazing. I think those were probably the best of any pair there. That was a like a highlight moment. The twist kind of got stuck on the landing. He didn't really
Yeah,
have any flow out. I noticed that that was one negative thing. Salkow's so far apart. We say that about almost every team, so that's nothing new. Um, Overall, I would say slightly flat, but then you go to the free skate, and for whatever reason, they just seem so much more relaxed. This
yeah.
program, this music was an obvious choice, I think, from miles and miles away because they are so typecast in what they skate in their free skates typically. When I saw it the first time, I was kind of like, it's all right, but I really enjoyed I mean,
The
it's
same.
so like
Yeah.
typical to say passion for
I know,
Italians, but
right,
like
right,
that's
right.
that's what it is really. They add a little, even like Mark was saying in the crossovers, they're like adding that those arm movements and that
Yeah,
those
the Italian
gestures,
hands,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So like it's true though, they add a little bit of something to it that's just not typical. Happy to see that they won. I think that's totally fair.
Same.
Um and it was much for me, it was much more enjoyable than what we saw in where they were in China.
Cup of China, where they got
Yeah.
second. Yeah. Like, but I agree with you all the way around here. I thought it was really great. Big improvement in terms of just like the quality. And I'm with you too. I kind of cringed a little bit at all the Caruso choice by Laura Fabian, and I'm like, I don't know about this. But like actually seeing it now again, for a second time, I now really like it.
Hmm.
And I've always really liked this team, like you said, and it's just something that I feel like is really true to them. And like you're saying, it's just it's true to that Italian like drama, passion, nature that they're
Yeah.
giving. And so like again, deserved win here. I again, yeah, I don't know what else to say other than that. Like I'm glad that they're on the up here. I'd love to see them compete for a medal at the Olympics because they are one of my favorite teams. I don't think they have, best basics or anything like that. They
Hmm.
don't have
Hmm.
none of their elements are the best in the field, but they
Right.
just do so many things so well. It just comes together really good for me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Pablo and
And then
Sviatchenko, I am so impressed with them. They are such friendly people. They're two of the people that really embraced the videos I was putting up at Skate America and Worlds, and they're very responsive to fans. And this year is just above and beyond where I thought they would ever be, honestly, because it was always this technical and like creeping in a little personality. And then this year,
mhm.
it's just like they are such a well-matched team. They seem like they relate together much better. Short program Earth Song by Michael Jackson. It's like kind of the music itself, like we talked about this, is like whatever. But the choreography is just so good.
So good.
So good. Probably the most well choreographed short program maybe this year out of any of the pairs, honestly. I can't think of a
Right.
better, well, maybe the Germans, but like it's very good. uh the side by side jumps are so close together. Everything is just these holds they do throughout the footwork. Everything is reminiscent of an ice dance program, which we've already said. But Luca Lunate, I think, hit it out of the park with them and made them look like a completely different team. There's little nuances, cool positions. Just everything is so good.
Right? Like, what is it with these pairs this year? Like, I used to watch a lot of early 90s TV when I was staying home from, school, and they always have these like makeover things, right? And it's just like, this is what it feels like.
Mhm.
These two pairs are just them and like another pair just had this complete makeover where the base was so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And it was just the programs coming together to show that off in a way that's really
Yeah.
appealing. And I'm here for it too. Again, I
Yeah.
agree with you. So good. We've talked about it like a million times with them at this point, but. Even like moving on to the free dance where, it's
Free
an
skate. Free
Amber
skate.
Glenn
Even though
music.
they
Sorry, free
look
dance.
like,
Oh, free
even
skate.
though
Oh my
it
God, free
looks like an
skate.
ice dance program. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's Amber Glenn music and they make it work for them, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I really enjoyed this even then too. Even if the
Yeah.
music itself's a bit of a
Yeah.
downer, they don't make me feel that throughout the program. Right? They just have the
Yeah.
one issue with the side by side jump sequence, but other than that, it's a really good skate. I I deserved second here.
Yeah.
They lose second
Almost,
because of
almost
P
one. Yeah.
almost win, right? And they only
Yeah.
lose because of PCS, which I agree
Yeah.
with. They
Yeah.
win TES by a few points, but they lose PCS by a few points, and that's what
Yeah.
really was the difference here and
Yeah.
why Conti and Machi come out on top. So,
Yeah.
but overall,
One
they
thing,
have a lot to be happy about.
the one thing I will say about this program is I like 90% of it. I think that there's a pause mid program where they stand on the ice and it
Yeah.
doesn't really look like they know what they're doing. And then the choreographic sequence, they're throwing away points. It is a bunch of nothing. That's just like stuff they can do to like they could get another point so easily there by just adding one little flashy move. Um
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that could be recorded, but so drastically improved and so watchable now, and it's not all about the elements anymore. And I really enjoy them. Happy that they're in second. So they have a third and a second place now. Kind of iffy towards whether they can get to the Grand Prix final. Conti and Matsi, by the way, are in for sure.
Yeah.
The Hungarians, it's they're either going to be right there to get in, or they might
Yeah.
be like first
Second,
alternates.
third's always like that, right? Where you're one
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
last places in the Grand Prix
yeah,
final, or you're one of those,
yeah,
again, first, second alternates. Yeah.
yeah.
And then in third here, we have Sway and Han. And the placement's not a surprise. It's more just that short program.
Hmm.
Where did that come from? I
Yeah.
literally was just like, I can't believe it. This progress is unreal
Yeah.
from what, two
Yeah.
weeks ago?
Yeah.
And I remember saying this like when we saw them, like, unless they have some miracle, like, have we seen them really rough at four continents and then go to Worlds really strong? It felt like that with the short program. Side by side
Hmm.
triple toes, like way more steady, rotated, timings
Hmm. Hmm.
way better. The unison was so good. The triple twist, so big, much
Hmm.
better than Cup of China. Same with
Hmm.
the throw triple flip, where you felt like before they were getting it done, it was
Old
serviceable.
school. Yeah.
But this felt like them, yeah,
Yeah.
from the past, right? Where
Yeah.
they're going for that big
Yeah.
distance and height. So good, strong landing. And the only really weak point of the short program was the side by side spins to me.
Hmm.
But even the step sequence, which I was really kind of meh about 2 weeks ago. And now it's like, oh wow, them giving sharper movements to it.
Yeah.
It feels smoother, right? The
Yeah.
only sloppy point was when they do a dance lift within the steps for me. But other than that, like it's just
Hmm.
unreal progress.
Yep.
Unreal. Like I
And
just
and it
and
was actually a lasso lift this time. A
yeah,
big drastic
right, right,
difference.
right. We were
That hand
all
was
on
way up
lasso
there.
lift watch. I know,
Yeah.
right? Right, right. And you see him go down a little, but still stays above the shoulder,
Yeah.
still high
Yeah.
enough. So,
Yeah.
they get through it. It's done. They actually
Yeah.
placed first in the short program, which
Hmm.
deserved, in my
Hmm.
opinion.
Yep.
You go on the free dance. Yeah. Or sorry,
Yeah.
long program. I keep saying free dance. We were just talking about ice dance for an hour. The long program.
Yeah. So, well, it's okay. We talked about dance for so long. The one thing I will say is I commented in the short program, you could see that it's a struggle for him to actually do the lasso lift that way. I am sure that that news got back to them, that it was kind of a generous call that would have had them off the podium in their first event, and now everyone's really on the lookout to make sure they do it correctly. Then in the free skate, we see he really struggled with that lift. He almost did not get his arms locked into position, which then would have invalidated the entire thing. It was messy. It was super, super messy. And then we see also in the free skate, I think that her jump rotations across the board were super, super suspect. I think that, I think
Yeah.
she only got called on her second double axel, but I think both were probably under. Triple Salchow looked
Yeah.
short too. I don't think they called that either. But even so, I think I said this in the first
Because his
time we
he
saw them.
doubled. So
Yeah,
he
yeah, it
doubled, so
didn't
that's
even
why there was
matter.
no call.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't, it wouldn't have mattered. I saw flashes of what made them so good. I mean, again, the throw had the distance, had the extension, at least on the flip. It was, things that we knew them for previously, and then we were kind of like, are they going to get back to that level? I don't know. They started late. Even in 2 weeks' time, it's still so much better. I love there's like a simple basic lift where he's just carrying her basically, and she like wraps her body in and then she extends it out while
Yeah.
she's like parallel to the ice. I think that is really cool. Just little kind of flourishes that you don't really see. But yeah, the lasso lift was not so good. A lot of the jump elements were sloppy. They fall down to third and probably maybe a little bit lucky to stay third. I don't know. I mean, it's a weaker program between the two, obviously, but I think
Yeah, I
they actually, if they're going to improve like this every 2 weeks, then there's a shot for them to really be something by the time the
really, for
Olympics start.
real. Like, so, like I know we wrote them off like 2 weeks ago in terms of like
Mhm.
being podium
Mhm.
threats for the Olympics
Yeah,
even. And now I'm like, no, the progress they made in two
yeah,
weeks in that short program has changed my mind.
yeah.
And now I'd really like to see what happens, their next event here. If we even get a glimpse of Chinese nationals,
Hmm.
over
Yeah, because
here.
they're not going to the Grand Prix final. Two bronze medals.
Yeah.
They are
They
not
need
going to
some
qualify.
withdrawals to really help them out. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And and they place like just literally like a point and a half, 2 points above Nagaoka and Miroguchi, and I think they're lucky to have placed above them,
Mhm.
due to PCS here.
Mhm.
Yeah, go on.
Nagaoka
What about the
Maraguchi,
Japanese?
I love them. I love them. I am going to go out there and make a bold statement that I think that they are what Miura and Kihara want to be, just much more like finished. The positions are better. It's more
Yeah,
dynamics. Like there, if you're gonna bomb through everything, at least there's like some kind of finish to it. Obviously, the presentation has a little ways to go, I think, but I think that this move to Fedor Klimov is going to do
yeah,
wonders for them. It's been very recently that they've changed. Triple loop for her looked very good in both programs. I think the triple loop double axel sequence in the free skate probably, and Mark even said this, probably the best sequence that we've seen of any pairs all season long. I think that that should have been massive GOE. The
yep.
lifts, the lifts are so big that they almost went right into the boards in one of them. It's just the ice
I know,
coverage they
right?
have, the speed, the effortlessness, everything is there. All the tools are there to really be a standout pair. They made mistakes, I believe, on 3 out of their 4 jumping elements, and they still scored 130. Imagine if this team is clean. They're in the low
Right.
140s at a minimum. As a team that's relatively unknown. This is a real deal. Give them time to work with Fedor. Hopefully, they get their consistency together, but this is going to be a real deal team, and it's going to happen really, really soon, I think.
Yeah, 100% agree with you because that short program is like brilliant. It's so good.
Hmm.
It's so enjoyable. And even the free skate that's like rough, again, still
Hmm.
enjoyable just because like you're saying the lifts, they're just
Hmm.
bombing through.
Hmm.
Right? And even those like the first lasso lift they do. Oh my goodness. Like I don't understand how like you look at that and you're not just like +4,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the Italian judge went +5, like
Hmm.
I, it's just like amazing, like you're
Yeah.
saying, like I agree with that whole categorizing them of like it's what Miura and Kahara want to be because
Hmm.
again, they have the same thing in terms of like the speed, bombing through stuff, yet it doesn't feel sloppy
Yeah.
like 100% of the time,
Yeah.
like so yeah, really a big fan of them. I'd love to hopefully they make it the next 4 years. I want to see them in 4 years under
Hmm.
like Klimov's tutelage and just that adding this consistency and even like more complexity and finish and
Hmm.
sophistication.
Yeah.
Very
Agreed.
excited. Yeah.
Right behind them, really quickly, just 2 American teams, Efimova and Mitrofanov, and then Chan and Hao. I think there
Mhm.
was very minimal points in between the two teams. Efimova and Mitrofanov. So
Yeah.
the news for them is that they've been married since February of 2024, which means even if they were
Hmm.
to follow this 3-year process, they would need, quite a bit of time. Plus, afterwards, to get everything situated, they would need a lot of time cut off to get her citizenship in time. We don't know what the status of that is. I don't think
Yeah.
anyone even knew they were married. I don't think USFS knew because when I was poking around at Worlds, it seemed like some of the higher up officials had no idea that they were married or trying to do this process anyways. Now, I don't listen. I
Right.
am not someone that's going to care about the legitimacy of marriage. I don't care about getting into all that stuff. But what I will say is,
Yeah. We're
I
not worried
don't
about that.
understand people that say that this team has a connection. I don't understand it. To me, it's like two skaters that were always kind of rock solid, like ice cold with their previous partners, no real expression. I think he's giving it more in terms of the cheese of the program, but as a
Yeah.
combination of skaters, I don't really get those vibes. This is a tribute and a free skate, at least to Gordieva and Grinkov. I think thank you, Ted Barton, for making that reference last year because now they're running with it. But I just don't see it at all. Maybe in the final for the final
Yeah. I
pose, like
know.
yeah, it
Same.
references the program, but to me, it was just skated so coldly. I don't see a connection between them. I think their short program last year was infinitely better than what this short program is. I think that they have nice lines. Her jumps have gone
Right.
AWOL, but there's just not like that performance quality for me is just not there.
Yeah, it's just okay, short program, real quick here, like same thing, same criticism. Like it's so empty and then there's just a lot of bombast, but
Mhm.
it's just not something I believe, right? I don't
Yeah.
understand what's going on in the short program. So like I was just not a fan at all. It left me so cold.
Hmm.
I almost felt like the performance was soulless. Like you're saying, they're
Hmm.
doing all these like big things, but there's no connection at
Hmm.
all. Zero. And the same thing long program. It's just a lot of just bland nothing. I don't
Hmm.
feel like this is a love story at all. I feel
Hmm.
none of that. I don't feel that Gordieva and Grinkov connection either, other than her hair. That's it.
Yeah.
The only thing. And I was just so bored. I don't know how to
Yeah.
describe this. I'm just
Yeah.
waiting for the program to be over.
Hmm.
It was yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
And then I think Chan and Hao, it's almost like different, right? To where they're not giving you this in your face
Hmm.
all the time. They're not trying to just force themselves upon you. And the impression is so much better. I really enjoyed this. I know even though it's like reused programs, it's some of their best, really.
Hmm.
Like, and I like this empty ghost program. It's not
You
my
are such a
favorite.
sucker for that music. Like
I think I
that
am,
music and
honestly. I think I am. I'm gonna be honest. Like
yeah.
just talking about ghosts so much now. Like almost episode after episode,
Yeah.
we're always talking about ghosts because everyone uses it.
Yeah.
But like it's really good. They're true to it. Even like I call it like when skaters vote now, I'm just like, oh, it's their vibe section. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, even the posing, it felt genuine when they're trying to show this romance. And
Hmm.
even her expression, it's that complete opposite. She's not trying to go over the top.
Hmm.
She's just trying to have it come from someplace that maybe she knows. And I
Yeah,
believe it. So even
yeah,
if the skate's a bit of a mess, at the beginning here, I love the way it just kind of after that, I could just
mhm,
sit back and enjoy it. So they place a little bit behind, Efimova
yeah.
and Mitrofanov, but Efimova and Mitrofanov can't really go to the Olympics unless they get some help from the government to get
Hmm.
citizenship in time,
Hmm.
right? So I really don't think they're in the running for that second US spot.
Hmm.
So
I don't know. Shannon Howe definitely, she needs to get her triples together, and then they're going to score massively. They have in the past. I think
yeah.
they're what as high as fifth or sixth in the world at one point.
Yeah, I think they're
The,
fifth in the world. It's like, yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah. Uh, Definitely like that they brought back the short program. I'm not, Ghost just doesn't ever do it for me. I think the choreography of the program itself is nice, though. I
It's
will give
nice.
them
It's an
that.
empty program, but the choreography is
It's
nice.
much
Yeah.
more believable as a performance, though, than their teammates, and a
Much
lot of
more.
other people seem to be the opposite, where they see this greatness in the other Efimova and Mitrofanov, and I'm like, they just leave me cold. Even in practices, it's like they're two
Right.
separate
And
skaters just
just
doing their
just looking
thing.
at the Hungarians here, right? How like we used to say that about them. They had these really strong elements. They were so
Hmm.
consistent, but nothing in the performance came out.
Hmm.
And when you look at Efimova and Mitrofanov, it's very similar. Strong elements, except they're actually not landing the side-by-side jumps. They're wildly
Yeah,
inconsistent, and
yeah,
then they're giving you really nothing emotionally in the
yeah,
performance. So
yeah.
it was just a complete miss for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Really quickly, Danilova and Siba from Netherlands, they have a requirement to get to the Olympics
Yeah.
from their committee. They were not even close here. I think they were like 20 some 25 points maybe below what they need to be at. I think they have one more they get to pick the events they want to get the score. I think they have one more opportunity. But just as a reference to the last Olympics, there was a single skater, Lindsey Van Zunder, who did not achieve those minimums either after qualifying the spot at the previous Worlds, and they ended up sending her anyway. So I have hope that they will still
Yeah.
send them anyways because this is a really enjoyable team. Um, just not their competition. There's really nowhere to go
It's
from there.
not.
There's not a lot to talk about with them. And then the Kovalevs, who short program, just from the beginning it looked like it was messy, and then the second element's like the triple toe. She goes down on dislocated her shoulder. We saw it quite a few times in replay. For what reason, I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But they're out of the competition. And what I would say is, this is typically you pop the shoulder back in, more or less they're okay. But just I would say to the other French teams that have the minimums, just maybe be super prepared because you never know. I as we've mentioned, they are France is the first alternate in pairs to get into the competition. As far as we know, there's no team from Uzbekistan. There's no team listed to get these minimums, so there's no team that can really just go to the Olympics with the other team having broken up at the end of last year. So we are pretty comfortable in saying that France will get a spot in the individual competition in pairs. Kovalev's, you would think they're going, but you never know.
Yeah, and
And
so
that's
yeah,
it for
pretty sad.
pairs. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, then moving on to the men's, I just, I'm just gonna go over the winners really quick. And I know Tony and I think have kind of like really disparate reactions to the winner here.
Yeah.
But okay, so winner Yuma Kagiyama, it's his first Grand Prix event of this season. He's first mostly by virtue of the short program,
Hmm.
really. And
Typical
second, you
for
have
him. Yeah.
unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
Shun Sato, the winner at Cup of China 2 weeks ago, is second here. Skates, though, a better long program than at Cup of
Yeah.
China, even. And I think the judges, too, are even giving him more credit like he
Hmm.
deserves. And third, Lucas Prischke, right? And he was fourth at Grand Prix of France. So now he has a Grand Prix medal for the season. Fourth is Boyang Jin. We saw him at Cup of China 2 weeks ago. He was fifth
Hmm.
there. Fifth here is Junhua Cha, who was eighth at Cup of China. So you want to say it's a climb up, but no, it really wasn't in terms of like
No,
the skate. It's a
no.
complete disaster. And then Adam Hagara, who we talked about at Worlds, I actually really enjoyed this. This was his first senior Grand Prix. And just to mention really quick here, it's the return of Matteo Rizzo after coming back
Hmm.
from like a big surgery, missing like last season, and now trying to qualify one of the two spots for the Olympics for Italy.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's start with Yuma. So your impressions, you go first. Talk about the short program, then I'll gush and
I
then
will
tell me why
just
I'm
say
wrong.
this, but we didn't have this YouTube channel until this year, but you go to the archives and I was saying in 2021, I think this is the most well-rounded
Yeah.
skater the sport has ever seen. 2021. And I think I was saying by 2022 Worlds, I'm like, no, he definitely is the strongest all-around skater ever. I was in love with his skating, still am. Short program is another. If you go back to 2022, he had a Michael Bublé program there, and that is like my number one. Do not skate to that music. I don't care what song it is, just it doesn't do it for me. This is kind of another program where I'm like, I
Yeah,
don't love the music, but the choreography is so good once again that I just don't care. The skating skills just stand
for
out
real.
so much. If you want to see what's behind good skating skills, you just watch his skating and you watch all of the intricacy and the effortlessness he has, multi-rotational skating, use of his whole body. It's just all there. It checks off all of the marks. When you're looking at a skater like Ilya versus him, this is why I say Ilya's marks are out of control when it comes to this aspect, because Yuma truly skates circles not only around him but most of the entire field. So the short
For
program,
real.
I love it.
I love it too. I really love the short program, and it's just for that same reason. It's not the type of program I typically like. It's not the music I typically enjoy, but he has this ability that just shines through it, you know?
Mhm,
It's almost that Virtue and More quality where a program can just kind of suck, but because it's Virtue and More, you love it. And it's
mhm,
skated so well. This is Yuma Kagiyama. And my favorite moment really is that step sequence. I think
yeah.
it's always is as glorious
Mhm,
as skating is, it just makes
mhm,
those step sequences sing. And my favorite moment is when it's toward the beginning, he has the twizzle section of his step sequence, and then he does this like twirl hop like right after, and it's
mhm,
just so cool. It's so to the music. I'm just wrote here amazing, right? It's like
mhm.
it's unreal. Like so even when he has that huge miss in the spin, right? I
Spin,
think it's
yeah.
the where
Mhm,
he just does not get enough rotations in the first part, and Mark points that out
mhm,
like immediately,
yeah,
and he gets no credit. He still
yeah,
almost scores 100 points after not
yeah,
getting like five, right?
yeah.
So really good. I felt the PCS was really undermarked for skating skills, for
Mhm,
presentation, for composition, because this is a program. This is a
mhm,
full
yeah.
program, like choreography, transitions, everything. And it's the same in the long program. And I'm going to tell you, so I love this long program. It's brilliant. I'm calling it like it's definitely the program of the year for me in singles. I don't see anything that's better. It's to me, it's so emotionally moving. It's complex. There's choreography happening constantly. There's transitions in between all the elements, in and out of all the elements. You never feel like he's struggling to gain speed. It's so even keeled, which just allows him to just perform all throughout. Like, so some of the jumps didn't have the best landings and things like that, but it still didn't affect my enjoyment. And then once he gets to the end where it's the choreographic sequence and then into the step sequence, and how, most skaters it's the opposite. They're going to do the steps first to get them out of the way and then the
Uh-huh.
choreo. He doesn't worry
Yeah.
about it because he doesn't need to worry about having to maintain speed because he's so good.
Mhm.
And I'm literally, I'm traveling, right? I'm literally in like the hotel lobby this morning watching this, and I just start crying. It's like it's back when I first saw Rain in Your Black Eyes. Like that step sequence just starts making me cry, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to stop. These people are staring at me like I'm a psycho, or like I need some help, right? But like it's just so good. This program is beautiful. It gave me chills. It gave me like all these feelings. Like it's hard for me to think of like a men's long program and even the past decade that is better than this, in my opinion. I could gush literally for like a whole day. So you go. So
Again, I
good.
am like, I will talk to the end of time about how he is one of the best skaters ever, but it's, oddly enough, I don't know what it is. This program is just not hitting 100% with me. It's turned out, but it's like the first 3 minutes and 30 seconds is really not the so well known parts of Turndale, which is it's fine in itself. This rendition was specifically
Hmm.
recorded for him in mind with these big elements and kind of going around the elements and how the program flow had to go. I don't know the second half when he finishes up those jumps so that he really can show off the choreographic sequence and the step sequence, which is always the highlight. I feel like that's a little bit thrown together. I feel like he was kind of playing catch up at that point. I also feel like, the choreographic sequence is always amazing. The step sequence is always amazing, but I
Yeah.
feel like this step sequence in particular, he can do just a little bit more. I mean, I guess I'm looking for just so much perfection with him to where they're like, give the tens because I truly
Hmm.
feel like he is that type of skater. For some reason, it's just not hitting with me 100%. I felt that when I saw it earlier, when he debuted it earlier in the year, I was like, I want to like this a lot more than I do, and I still feel the same way. I think, by the Olympics, maybe it'll be all cleaned up and I'll fall in
Yeah,
love with it, which I'm sure that probably will happen. But for right now, it's very, very good, and the PCS rightfully should be so high. And it's a lot of what you said is so true. He takes no effort. A lot of these jumps have transitions into them with like he gains speed by doing these transitions rather than doing crossovers or any typical thing that we
right.
see from other skaters. So I respect that so much, and the skating skills market is just off the charts. Performance, I would say, it was good. It could hopefully really be an Olympic moment. And the choreography, of course, is really good. I think I'm looking for a little bit better, and maybe I'm hard to please. I'm not going to turn down that I think he's still the best skater in the world. I wish that the system he would have to be absolutely perfect at the Olympics, and I think that Ilya would have to have some under rotations creep in for him to even have a slight chance, because that's
Yeah,
just
at this point,
Ilya's
yeah.
running away from with the sport. But I still think you need to give him the PCS mark, much higher than Ilya, but that will never happen. So,
I know, like, and we
um,
saw that the last Olympics in the short program, where I'm pretty sure Yuma actually beats Nathan in
yeah,
PCS in the
yeah,
short program, which is deserved. He was getting tens from judges.
yeah,
Nathan's PCS was just too high for what he was really
mhm,
giving, but
yeah,
that was just the case
yeah,
of men's skating in general when you can do a bunch
yeah.
of quads, right? But like, you'll see it, I hope, eventually.
Yeah, I hope. I hope, because I was the one pushing him from the very, like, the first year he was
hmm
senior. I'm like,
No, I remember,
this
yeah.
this skater is insanely. You guys got to see this. Like, he is so
That
good.
gladiator program still, I still think about it. I still think about him barreling in the
Triple
ice, then
axle.
doing into the triple
Yeah,
axle, like bam with
yeah,
the music. So good.
yeah,
So
yeah,
good. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so but in bronze here, or sorry, in second here, we have Shunsato, and he skates a lot better. And we really no new comments on the programs. Other than that, I feel like the judges are now finally giving him his due. You see the PCS here is higher. In the short program, it was like mid eights, long program, high eights, right? And then even then, though, what really was I was paying attention to when I was looking at the protocol was just the GOE he was getting on his jumps.
Hmm.
The judges were giving him like ones and twos. And so, like we're saying, you don't need to have insane height to get three. Right? You have to
Hmm.
have the height and the distance to get four and five. It's in the criteria when you're looking at all these bullets. So even if you have like five bullets to get like a plus five, if you don't have the one that are
Hmm.
requirements
The
for four or five,
required
you're not
three.
getting it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So he should be getting three for his jumps. And what I'm
Hmm.
seeing here is the judges were doing that for the most part, were giving him those threes. And great, perfect. Love to see that, right? To
Hmm.
where the judging is just getting a little better from this week. I know part of it's like he just won a Grand Prix. Maybe it's like reputation
Of
based,
course, and he's at home.
and he's at home, right?
Yeah,
Whatever, don't care. Glad to
yeah,
see that he's getting it.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so the short program's a repeat program. I really liked it last year. I think Guillaume
Mhm.
Cizeron did a good job with trying to bring out this artist in him, because sometimes it falls a little bit flat. I think the Firebird, again, and we said this in Cup of
Yeah.
China, like,
Mhm.
we were basically like, thank God he got through it cleanly, because we wanted, out of the results, we really wanted him to be the winner, just based on somehow how some of the others were scored. But really, this program
Right.
is just like a flat Firebird. It's
It
it's
is.
it's
Like
really not
most. There's
much. Yeah, exactly.
nothing will
But
beat Gracie Gold's laying an egg
laying
moment
the
in
egg,
Firebird.
yeah.
That's literally the only memorable Firebird moment in any of the Firebird programs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
I see why his finish is not 100% there, and I see why the performance quality should not be marked as high. I see why the choreography maybe isn't as brilliant, but he gets to the program so well. To me, it's looking, he's in the Grand Prix final now for sure, with a first and a second. Skating at home. There's no one else as far as Japan goes. I mean, Kawamura is so unpredictable, and the rest
I
of them
know.
really are unpredictable as well. He is mostly rock solid, to the point that I think he's a definite number two as far as Japan
Mhm.
goes going to the Olympics. I don't think there's going to be a question for him. But yeah, short program really nice, free skate flat, but skated well. That's what I get from
Mhm.
it.
Yeah. And then moving on to third place here, we have Lucas Britschke, and we saw him at Grand Prix of France. He got fourth there, so bronze here. Not going to make the final unless a lot of withdrawals
It's
happen,
potential. It's potential because
Yeah.
of how messy the results have been so far.
Yeah, right. Like so yeah, possible, but we still would need some withdrawals, right? He'd be an alternate and then just hoping
Mhm.
some folks don't go to like the Grand Prix final.
Mhm.
Just the biggest mistake in the short program was just doing a triple toe instead of a quad triple.
Mhm.
Mistakes on both triple axles in the long program, and
Mhm.
then but overall, like I was seeing a lot of chatter about how like people don't like his program choices, but like I'm not someone who ever has a problem with that. I don't feel
Mhm.
like he's making a caricature of these cultures. He's being inspired,
Yeah.
it's based on his travels. It's based on things he's trying to honor them.
Yeah.
And I think he's doing it from a place of good, like
Hmm.
really wants to like respect these
Of course.
cultures that
Yeah.
he's trying to
Hmm.
represent. So like I think it's great.
Hmm.
It's like so, I really enjoy his programs. I know some other folks cringe and I don't feel
Yeah.
that at all. But
Yeah. Agreed. I think his free skate is stands out more than, we talked about his short program, the costuming, the vibe is just not really, I think he needs these like really driven kind of cultural, like let's explore a different part and a different vibe of music, and that's what he does in the free skates, and I think that's a much better program for him. I liked the program even better this time. I liked it in France, but
yeah,
I
me
liked it
too.
even better this time. I see why he's not, he got super lucky to win Europeans last year, and he's a very good skater. I see why he's not quite up. I would not put him in like, oh, final group running for the Olympics. He's potentially in
Yeah.
there for an outside medal. I don't think he's quite there, but it looks like he's, pretty much completely back from his injury. So, yeah, and looking at his third and his fourth place, it is going to take some work to get him into the final, but you have like Nika Agadze, he had a bronze medal and then he finished fifth, so he's ahead of him. He has Kalmura, who had a
Mm,
zero, like he didn't get any points for his first event, then he gets a bronze medal, so he's out of the running. Shidorov would have to finish at least fourth, Grassel would have to finish at least fifth. Adam and Yuma would just have to like basically show up to pass him. So yeah, it's going to be a really outside chance. Plus, we have Jason Brown, who we haven't seen yet. So yeah, but
mhm.
at the least, he's going to be one of the three alternates, I would say for sure, for the Grand Prix final. So good for him.
And then after that we have Boyang Jin in fourth. He looked better. You didn't think he looked
No,
better at all?
I do not understand the scoring for him at
I mean, he
all.
looked better, right? Yeah, but I agree with you. Yeah,
Yeah,
still
yeah. I mean,
overscored.
he like put a little. I mean, the thing is, he put a little bit of something into it, I guess you can say.
Hmm.
But for me, the PCS is just outrageous.
Too
The
high.
crossovers, the crossovers, literally in his four. If you just watch when he does front crossovers or even back, they're not even extended. They're like half done. He gets half of the distance that he should get from most like elite level skaters. His shoulders are always up. Nothing is ever extended. He's so slow into his jumps. There's barely any flow out of his jumps. That should be reflected in the GOE. Lots of like fists when he's doing these crossovers because he gets no power. It's just so
Right.
evident to me that like everything is just so jump based and there is nothing else to the programs. The programs are already wildly mismatched. Like they don't make sense for him. I don't understand why he got what, 76 PCS here, which is in the free skate at least. It is insanely
Crazy.
overmarked. Insanely overmarked. The worst skating all around. I cannot. The skating skills are mediocre at best, but then there's no program either. So like, what? He should be down in the low 60s if that. And I'm
Right.
not even
And it's
being a
it's
little bit
no,
sarcastic.
you're right. You're right. I totally agree with you with that, right? You even look at his PCS rank. It's from fourth to 11th. And even then, I'm like, that who put him in fourth? I'm like giving him eight skating skills, 8.25 presentation, eight
Nope.
composition, from the Korean judge. It's just absurd. Like, it shouldn't be nowhere near that. I agree with you.
No.
Six is a long program. I think the short program gives a little bit better of an impression because
Yeah.
I think his stamina less lasts more,
Yeah.
but I totally agree with you. He really loses it in a long program. He gets really sloppy and lazy with his like
Hmm.
posture. There's
Hmm.
like almost no extension happening at all. And the skating
Hmm.
skills, so you're saying, not great. I think the stamina is better than 2 weeks ago, but yeah. Hmm.
Not a fan. One differing opinion I have from the first week to now is I said Jun Hwan Cha. I just thought like both programs were a miss this season. And we kind of got into the details about Raining Your Black Eyes. Like, why would you choose this program, which he's allowed to. He's a beautiful
Right.
skater. I liked it a lot more this week. I
Me
was
too,
I was
actually. Yeah.
into it this week. I saw where it was coming from. It shows some of his strengths and his skating that in the first week I think everyone was just tired. We were probably tired. We didn't have a lot of good things to say in general that week, but I feel like this was a step up and I saw where it was coming from and I'm like, all right, I actually like this.
I agree
The
with you.
free
Right.
skate though, the free skate, I don't, it's a
Still a
Moulin Rouge
miss.
thing, which I don't get into to begin with. I think that his skating is so much above this. a lot of mistakes here. Again, I think he's lucky to have finished where he finished.
He's
Uh,
he's a 10th in the free skate. Yeah, really
yeah.
bad. And I would say it's 10th after some generous calls too. Like,
Mhm,
like they gave him on these falls, like the quad toe fall, they gave him a cue. No.
mhm,
You could
mhm,
clearly see it was under without the
mhm.
replay. And
Yeah.
so he should have lost space value from there. I thought the same of his first triple axel. I thought the same of like both jumps in
Mhm,
the Lutz Euler saw cow.
mhm,
Same thing for the second triple axel.
mhm,
Like it, so just all around, I think there was a lot of some generous calls here that kind of put him,
mhm.
here right behind Boyang. And I agree with you. I think the short program was a little bit better. It also
Yeah.
seems like they're abandoning the two quad strategy in the short program,
Yeah.
right? So that
Yeah.
probably just gave him more freedom
Yeah, but
to
then he goes for
interpret.
this Lutz loop that, is he missed it in the free. I'm assuming he was going to do
Yeah,
it in the free skate, but the Lutz was kind of wide swinging, so he didn't go up for the loop. But that also lends itself to probably under rotation, blah blah blah. So there's that going into effect. One thing, he used to stalk the hell out of the axle all the way straight down the ice and hold, and finally jump up. He finally this year has this shorter entry time, and still it looks like you said. I think you mentioned one of the jumps you would have reviewed is the axle rotation. I think it still looks, he doesn't really go anywhere with it, so it looks like it's a little bit short all the time. The step sequence is fabulous in the free skate. That's one thing. He just moves effortlessly and it shows
yeah.
there. But just the music is just not for him. I don't feel like I've
Um,
liked so many of his programs, so many, and
Go
this is
back to the
one that
Bond
I'm just like,
program. Just
it's
really do.
not.
Go back to James
Yeah.
Bond. It was really
Or
good.
any, it
Like
doesn't even have to be James Bond. You could even bring back
any.
Romeo and Juliet. Like, I don't care. Just any
Oh,
of
okay,
it.
okay, yeah. That really was a moment. Yeah.
Yeah. So, for me, it doesn't do anything. He has such a presence, not doing anything with it with the free skate though. At least,
hmm
in my opinion.
And then we'll just like briefly mention a few other skaters here. Just like Adam Hagara, it's his first senior Grand Prix. He has a really big fan base, for somebody who was just like a junior, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
most people who just follow seniors really
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't know. I really liked his skating for the most part. Like just the one thing I will say that his in the long program when he gets tired, his posture gets lazier, and you can see
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
a lot. And that's just something I work on. And that shirt's just way too baggy, and so like
Yeah.
when it makes his posture look worse. That's like the
Yeah.
only note I really have to like fix this now, please.
Quad toe is there though,
Yeah, oh, it
triple
is.
axle
Yeah,
he missed in the short program, but it's usually he does these turns like some kind of transition into the triple axle. It just snaps up. Usually a
yeah,
good
it's really
jump. We
good.
saw it in the free skate. One thing though I will also say is watch his toe assisted jumps, especially his flip and his lutz. He understands, he's one of the few skaters left that understands the toe pick goes in and you lift up. He is one of the few skaters left that doesn't twist his whole body around, and that is nice to see. Usually so consistent, and he was consistent enough here. It's his only event. It's his senior Grand Prix debut. He's sixth place, just outside of the top 10 at Europeans last year, I think. But he is a skater that is well on his way up, and I think if he keeps improving like this and he shows the consistency, they're going to give him the marks. Even
Mm,
though the programs are nothing flashy, I wouldn't say that they're
mhm.
anything super standout, but he's enjoyable even so.
And then you have Matteo Rizzo. He's come back from injury. Again, he's trying to get one of those two spots for Italy. I think we're both in agreement that Grossel's a lock.
Yeah,
He's locked, so it really is just
yeah,
one spot up for grabs with
yeah,
the rest of the Italian men here. And his short program doesn't really go that well. He pops the quad toe into a triple toe, and then he does that triple Lutz double loop, so he's leaving a lot of points on the
yeah.
table. But I think he actually looked a lot better than I expected, and then
Mm,
his musicality is still there, and that's something I really like. And I really liked the long program. It had these like really cool moments, especially the way it starts and ends, like how
yeah.
he goes to the boards and pushes away, and it just has a lot of this flow to it. It's just, you still see though he's just not undertrained. He needs that competition practice still. I'm
Well, he
hoping
was
he
skating,
finds a better form.
at the end of last year, he was already competing again. They sent him to like
Oh, oh, okay, okay, small
the
event.
Sonia Henny Trophy, and I think he was at a few other. So he was already on his way back last year after that injury took him out. But so the funny thing is, we talked about this. I think at some point we mentioned him because he hasn't skated yet. But I said his free skates are like these pop mashup medleys, like the greatest hits of certain artists, and I'm kind of tired of it. And now he skates to music that I really, really love, and I'm like kind of wishing he would go back to those pop
See, I
medleys.
like those pop musics, like that
Yeah,
Bruno Mars
yeah.
long program he had. I'll rewatch that every once in a while. I
Not
really
not
like
the
it.
Coldplay program though. The Coldplay program can be skipped.
No,
But
no, yeah,
Bruno Mars, like that was a vibe. This one, it was nice. It was nice. I just don't know that it stands out enough. What it
yeah,
comes down to in Italy now, I think Frangipani is way out of it because his two Grand Prix have been not good. But what
definitely.
it comes down to in Italy though is Matteo needs to skate really, really well, and he needs the PCS to benefit him because you see how Memolo has scored internationally as far as the PCS goes. He's slow moving. His height is kind of a hindrance as far as that goes. His programs are empty. Spins are not that great. That's where he's going to have to chip away at, and he's going to have to skate clean. But I still think there's a chance. Memolo's quads are not looking like they did last year as reliable. So
They're
there's a
not. Yeah.
chance that Rizzo can
Do
sneak
we
in
know if
there.
Italy's gonna wait till after Europeans to decide?
Well, they have that point system, and if it's not within, as far as I know, if it's not within a certain like 30 point, I don't, it might not be 30 point. It's some, if they're not within a certain total, then the one person just gets the spot. I would assume they would use Europeans to be that
Hmm.
final like decision maker, but I'm hoping it's Rizzo. Uh, I
Me
almost
too.
wish it was Rizzo and Memola, but that's never going to happen. So,
Yeah, for real,
um,
right? Not at this
yeah.
point. It's
Yeah.
it's far gone. I noticed like a few of the things I would to mention here. So this was a matchup between the two U.S. men that conventional wisdom really thinks they're the ones in the running for the third spot. Andrew Torgashev, Jimmy Ma.
Mhm.
And, Torgashev comes out on top here by like three and a
Not
half
much.
points.
Yeah.
But yeah, not much and not with a great skate. So, yes, comes out on top, but I really don't feel like this did anything to really kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
change like where they are in like that ranking. So, I think nationals have become more important than we thought it would be.
Yeah.
And mostly just because
Mm,
Torgashev, you don't think so? Because if Jimmy Moss skates lights out and Torgashev skates like he's done on the
no.
Grand Prix, you still don't think there's a chance?
No, I think Jimmy Ma was good. I love Jimmy Ma. I love his personality. I love
Yeah.
some of the programs he's done, but this free skate to me is just a total mockery of the sport. Honestly, what is that? I really
I
feel like
also
he's
don't
kind of
like
making
it.
fun of it. Like that really I was like disappointed because I'm like he can bring down the house with the right stuff, and this is so cheesy and like a Rudy Galindo tribute basically because he skated on most of this stuff at some point in the pro scene. I really think he's like making fun of something, and to me the program is just so empty, and it's another
It
case of
is.
like the PCS is way too high. And then you look at
Yeah.
Torgashev, his programs are beautiful. He moves so effortlessly. The quad toe he did to start the free skate, I was like, yes, finally he has this jump back because it was so good. +3, +4 quality, literally so good. And then the second quad toe falls, like it starts to fall apart again. But
Right.
just like the step sequence, the choreographic
So
sequence,
good.
like it's an extension of the choreography. It is not an element. It is an element, obviously, but it's just flows into the program, and his glide is so good, and it's just night and day.
Yeah.
He should be so rewarded on that PCS, even if he doesn't skate well technically, which he didn't. It's just a completely different level of skater. I know he had two bad Worlds experiences, and now it's kind of like, do we want to send him again? But for me, even with Maxim Naumov is out at a competition now, also, and he had like a 90 something short program. Even with that, I feel like Andrew is the most well-rounded skater, and if he delivers relatively well at nationals, I think he should be the one
I
that
think he should
probably
be too,
goes.
just because, like you're saying, he has the skating skills just like out of the park here. Like
Mhm,
the judges aren't rewarding it. They only gave him high sevens, right? And
mhm.
one, two, three, four, only four even put him in the eights in skating skills, which is
Which is
insane, right?
insane. Yeah.
Insane because seven is just absurd. Like, no, he's so much better than that. I'm sure a lot of these judges gave Boyang better skating skill scores too, which is, a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I agree with you on that. And then
Wait, there are
I think
judges that gave Boeing higher than
I
Andrew.
Oh, I'm sure there are. I have actually I'm not
Let me
specifically on
open
the
it.
list.
We
Let's
gotta
see, let's
check
see,
this
let's see.
because there better not.
Yeah, yeah, the French judge is one. Looks like
In
ties them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the program was rough, but you cannot take away that the elements, the skating he does, and the elements he does aside from these
Hmm.
jump mistakes. Even I don't know. I guess I need to rewatch the free skate because he got a
Yeah.
level 2 call on the step sequence, but
It-
everything just is. I don't know.
The Japanese
Uh,
judge gives Boyang higher skating skills.
insane. Not explainable in any world. Any world. I don't know.
And the Swedish judge ties them. Yeah. And so like one last mention I want to be just about like out of whack PCS. He got last year, very far in the last. Like it's Haru Kakuchi,
Oh,
or sorry,
yes.
Kakuchi. Really great
Yeah.
skating skills, really great performance quality, so musical, almost
Hmm.
like he has this dance quality to it, great extension and lands. The judges just did lowballed him everywhere. You're seeing here PCS in the sixes, skating skills in the sixes.
Hmm.
Most judges put him 12th place in
Hmm.
skating skills. The only one who
Yeah,
dares not to is the Swedish judge, which is absurd.
that's
Absurd.
but
Like,
that's a result of, first of all, no one knowing who he is.
right,
Second of all, he doesn't have a triple axel. He does not have a quad. Small skating as far as the jumps go and the elements in general, just kind of
right,
the spins or whatever. But the skating quality and the sensitivity to the music and what he's actually putting in as far as skating skills, yes, this is another instance. I'm not singling out Boying Jin, but I kind of am. There is no way. I guarantee you put them on the ice together, he's going to skate circles around Boyang. Just there is no way. He should be way up there as well. This is why we have two separate kind
right.
of scores.
His
You don't
PCS
give
should
them
not
the
be
technical
last.
merit. You give him the PCS because he's delivering a well-rounded program. Yes, the speed could be better. The presence could be better, but it's still very, very good. I loved watching him skate. I always love
Me
even
too.
the
He was
Japanese.
so
If I would
good.
watch Japanese nationals, I probably would like the skaters that don't even qualify to the free skate.
For
Honestly,
real,
like
right? Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
If you can even get tickets if you got to Japan, right?
yeah,
Because like, they're
yeah,
always like sold out. Yeah.
yeah.
But like, yeah, it really was like so. You just want to mention him because here's an example of to where your jump content really affects your PCS when it really
Yeah.
shouldn't.
Yeah.
And just because he doesn't have a triple axle, the judges just don't even see a reason to pay attention and just
Yeah.
give him
They zone
sixes and
out.
they're
Yeah.
done. They write it off. And in reality, he should be beating at least three other skaters in PCS here,
Hmm. Yeah.
in my
100%
opinion.
agree. 100%.
Anyway, so onto the women, right?
Hmm.
And so Kaori, is the winner here, right? Deservedly so. I think far and away the winner. Like there's almost just like no competition for her, and she
Yeah.
skates way better than I thought she would. And I think that's been
Uh-huh.
like the theme of her for this whole season when you're just looking at last.
Yeah.
In second here you have Sofia Samodokina, who we really loved at Worlds. So I thought she was really undermarked. And
Yep.
so I love to see that she's getting her due now. I think she's
Yep.
getting judged more fairly. Her PCS is being judged more fairly, especially in the long program. Then you have Lona Hendricks, who is bronze here, right? Looking better, right? But still probably not at like her peak. And honestly, I don't know about you, but skating feeling a little outdated at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. We'll talk
And
about why. I
then
agree.
yeah, Young Yu in fourth, and then Sarah Everhart
Probably not.
fifth.
Yeah.
Our favorite, Yuna Aoki in sixth. But yeah, so you go ahead. Like you
So
start go ahead.
Kaori, I mean, again, the short program, wonderful. I think here she looks like she's 100% form, ready to go this season. The free skate, also the same thing. I can't really say anything
Hmm.
else about the short program that I haven't said. I think this is both the short and the free skate are the best she's had this Olympic cycle. Good timing.
Yeah,
I really like the short. I like how it flows. I love the little trying to attempt to hold the positions because we know she's not really her positions or her stretch
I
is
know.
not really there. But
Not the
like she
best.
does this the up and down, the up and down on the donut spin and the flying spin, which is it takes me straight back to Oksana Bayul. I love it. I love the step sequence. I think the program is really good for her. And then the free skate too. I was a little worried. I was like, okay, I'm gonna at least like the short program, but I truly do like the free skate. I think the music builds to where doing these difficult the triple triple and the double axle triple toe at the later in the program,
I think
it's
so too.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah, her Lutz, it is what it is. It's gonna get called. It's not gonna get called. I can't argue about it anymore. It's just that
I
whatever.
know. Yeah,
Yeah, but overall, I mean, I'm so like,
I agree. I agree with that. Like, and she's way stronger than I thought she'd be. When I came into the season thinking that she wasn't really a threat for the Olympic gold medal, right?
mhm,
And now she's really proved me wrong. I'm really glad she has. The skating's really
mhm,
strong. I will say though, I just want to point out the Lutz thing. It's so obvious it's taking off from an inside edge without a replay. And this is
mhm,
what really bothers me. And someone on Reddit really did a really great job of taking a screen capture of when she
mhm,
picks. And it's
mhm.
just such a deep inside
Yeah,
edge.
yeah,
And she only got an exclamation in the short program. She doesn't even get a call in the long program. And if the Olympics are really close, this is a make or break for the medals or the gold. And I
Hmm.
really hope by the time the Olympics happens that the panel is going to start calling things like they're
Hmm.
supposed to, and they're
They
not
won't.
doing
They
things
won't.
like giving, like they did for Medvedeva. They gave her a chance by only doing an exclamation to,
Hmm.
toward the end there when it should have been a
Hmm.
full E. And Kaori's Lutz should be a full E, negative GOE.
Hmm.
Like she should not feel safe doing a Lutz in the short program. She really
Yeah.
should not,
She
and
should
she
just do the
does.
loop anyways. It's such a good jump for her. I don't,
Right, but
whatever.
with the Lutz here, that's a clear up inside edge. She's getting 6.66 points. There's
I
no
know.
way she's getting that
I
with a
know.
loop,
Yeah.
and this is why she does it. And she's doing it because the panel looks the other way. So that's just
Yep.
the one thing I'm going to call out about that. But otherwise, great, deserved win, especially the margin, deserved margin. Um, but I really just want to talk about in second here, Sofia Samodokina, like her senior Grand Prix debut, and she has no second event, which is
Which I don't know why, because she
tragic.
must have declined something because there was opportunity for her to get a second event. I think when Pinzerone withdrew
Mm.
from her events, there was a potential she could. So for some reason, maybe she declined. Maybe they just felt like they weren't ready. I don't really know. Maybe she couldn't get like her papers in order or whatever it was.
Okay.
But there was an opportunity there for her to get a second event. Now, looking at her in second place, I really wish she would have had a second event because she could have gotten into the final.
She could get to the Grand Prix final. Her jump's really strong, great edges, like Lutz flip, true Lutz flip, which is rare today. She's doing kind of like that classic Atari, like ripping on every jump, right? Which we're not seeing anymore because it's not a GOE bullet anymore.
Yeah, but to that note, so she's doing that, but she is a skater that goes up, starts rotating, finishes rotating, has plenty of time to come down,
Yep.
and then she holds the land. Every single landing is
Yes.
so
So
smooth. It
good.
is so good,
Hmm.
and this is why it is so impressive to me. Like these jumps really should get such high even if you get tired of like the hand over the head, blah blah blah. We all get tired of seeing that constantly. But that's how she does her jumps. She still, though, makes it work because she flows out so well.
Yep.
Now, the short program I think is great. I was raving about her at Worlds. I'm like, when are they going to give her the PCS she deserves? She should be really into the top 10 already. She is so good. I feel like they're finally getting up there for her. I was so pleasantly surprised that she was put into second place,
Me too. Yeah.
but I don't love the free skate. I will say that. I don't love the music.
It's
I
not my
love her
favorite. It really
skating.
isn't. Her skating is
Yeah.
strong, right? But
Yeah.
like PCS and the free skate, they finally are like we're in the eights
Over
here
eight.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're giving her that like after the short program being in second. I will say though that like the short program music, it's the same music that Virtue and Mar did for their Russian folk free dance when they were
Hmm.
in juniors, so it brought me back
Hmm.
to that place too. I love that program, and so like I just love I love the short program so
Hmm.
much. And like you're
Yeah.
saying, it's skated well, so smooth all the way. You never feel like it's jerky. You never feel stop and start. You never
Yeah.
feel like something she's doing is out of place. It's really well choreographed. I will
Yeah.
agree with you about the long program. It's a little like, this
Hmm.
music's like really kind of tired, is what it felt
Hmm.
like. I
Yeah.
kind of like a miss, but the skating was still good, even with
Yep.
the few kind of bobbles and errors she had. Like, it's still really good. Like,
Still makes me like watching her,
still
much
makes me
like
like watching
Kagiyama.
her.
You know
Yep.
what?
Hmm.
There's so much good to like with her. Um, yeah, I'm very impressed with her.
Hmm.
I'm very surprised they left her ahead of Luna, but I
For
think
real,
that's
yeah.
fair.
And
I think it's fair.
I think it's 100% fair. If anything, I felt the margin should have been bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like Luna's in third here, and does that by virtue of getting second in the long program because she has that big fall in the short,
Yeah.
and it's clean, right? But one thing I'll say about this is that the program's still really empty. There's a lot of like standing in place and giving vibes, even if it's a
Hmm.
different vibe, right? Until the very end when she finally gets to like the club in the desert or wherever she's going in this, like,
Hmm.
but yeah, just that, and then. She doesn't have a loop, right? And so that's still very apparent here. She has a lower base value than pretty much almost every other skater in this event who actually gets all their jumps in, right? And rotates them. And then and she compensates by doing two Lutzes, two flips. And they all have edge problems to me. They're all unclear
I
edge
was gonna
or
say the Lutz is
wrong.
such an obvious inside edge as well. I mean,
Hmm.
real time, it is turned over so far into the inside edge. I thought the toe loop on the end of the Lutz always looks a little bit suspicious on rotation. They called the Lutz probably an exclamation, and the
They
toe
did.
loop
Yeah.
never gets called. I'm sure of it. Um, but yeah, I would say for sure, yeah, there's kind of questionable technique into those jumps, and also with her, opposite of Samildakina, she really stops everything, goes very tentatively into the jumps, and then there is no flow out. And this is
Yep.
when we're talking at, you look at some of the PCS she gets for the jump, or I mean, I'm sorry, some of the GOE she gets for the jumps, it's held down a little bit, and rightfully so. It's like a +1 jump maximum for me most of the time. But
Yeah.
yeah, she's
And
another
judges
one
are
that kind
finally
of
starting to treat it
benefits.
that way. Here they're
Yeah,
treating it that way for the most
yeah,
part,
yeah.
and she used to get benefit of the doubt. So I'm glad like that's kind of like changing here. Because honestly, like I prefer Pinzerone of the two between the two Belgian skaters,
Yeah,
these days, because
yeah,
Pinzerone has a lot of sophistication in her
yeah,
choreography and in her
yeah.
programs, where Lona is just really doing a lot of like basic posing and vibing.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't love the short program, honestly. I love Celine Dion, but that song is just
yeah, it's not
repetitive and
great.
nothing.
Hmm.
Free skate I actually do like. I think this is a step up from kind of the total vibes, no choreography stuff that we've seen from her in
Yeah.
the past. I think she's putting stuff back in. But yes, when you're looking at the race for the Olympic podium, I think she's just a little bit outside her element now. And they are scoring her at least the GOE a little bit more appropriately, at least in this competition, that I think is going to leave
Hmm.
her slightly outside of that absolute top group.
And we've seen almost everybody else on the Grand Prix here,
Hmm.
except for like two skaters. So we're just gonna
Hmm.
briefly mention them. Oh, sorry, Young Yu. Okay, sorry, Young Yu.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I just literally scrolled down. I was
No,
like,
it's
oh
okay.
no, Young Yu. There she is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so like a lot better here. She was ninth at Grand Prix France. So it's really great to see that like she really
Yeah.
pulled up here, really close
Hmm.
to getting
A
a
medal.
medal.
Yeah.
And I think there's kind of a case to where Lona's Lutzes should have been called full E's, and that's what really,
Yeah,
really
but
made
it's the same. It's the
break
same
it.
for Young Yu's flips. I mean, those really need to
That's
be e
fair. That's
calls as
true.
well.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. She didn't even get a call in the first one, what at least should have
Yeah.
been. I saw it as outside from
Hmm.
the,
Yeah.
not even the
From
replay, right?
miles away. Yeah.
Exactly. So that should have been full ease there. You're right. Yeah. So, but still really close. She's been skating a lot better. You could see her coming back into form. And then we have Sarah Everhart. And then it's just, she's not proving her case to be on the Olympic team here. Really isn't. So,
I want so badly for her to just get this sense of, understanding of the music and really sell it, because this free skate we were kind of like, huh, last week. I saw it again this week and I'm like, no, there she could do so
yeah.
much with this. It's just so weird. The dress fits. We were, by the way, we were lectured by a few people in the comments last week, the story behind the
Oh, thank you.
movie and how the costume is literally like relates to the movie itself, and how bizarre this movie is, and how, if you're going to skate to this, then you can't just kind of plow through the choreography that you were told to do. And that's my big issue with her. She just needs to break out of her shell. She
Hmm.
has not done so yet. But
Yeah.
yeah, once again, she's not really proving. We think the U.S. team is a done deal, and this just further reiterates it. Another
Hmm.
week of the top three are the top three to us. So,
And then,
but I will say also, looking
oh,
at
go
her
ahead.
presentation again, it's too high.
Way too high.
Yeah.
Yes. And so like so that's why I have a issue with her placement here. I would have put Aoki in fifth
Oh
here.
yeah, for sure.
I'll go into why, but just so moving on to like Aoki, just we were raving about her skating skills, just so amazing. And I heard Mark talk about how like she was gaining a lot of new fans just after her
Hmm. Hmm.
previous competition, where she's Skate Canada only places sixth, but makes a huge impact just because of that. And you can
Hmm.
really see it in the long program. I think La La Land is the perfect choice for her,
Yep.
and that step sequence is just brilliant,
The whole
brilliant,
the whole
brilliant,
program just,
brilliant. Oh, the whole program is right. The step
well,
sequence,
both
well,
programs
especially
actually.
for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, both programs, and you just see that all the way throughout. Like I just wrote this is so beautiful. You can see the joy, you can see the emotions, and even then, like when the music changes, you see this immediate performance too, and the
Yep.
elements work with the way the music changes. She's
Yep.
not skating through the music changes like
Hmm.
so many skaters do.
Hmm.
Um, I do think though she gets a lot of like cues calls when she's
Yeah,
getting
that's,
unders.
of course. Yeah, that
But
was benefit of the doubt
that's kind
100%.
of happening the whole competition, right? So she can't just be the only one singled out for that. That was happening
Right.
to every skater here, getting some type of benefit of the doubt from the
Yeah.
panel. But that step sequence is brilliant, brilliant,
Yep.
brilliant, brilliant. And I don't know how you don't just immediately hit 4 or 5. And I'm looking here at the protocol, and the
There's
Belgian
a
judge
two.
gives it
There's a
a
two.
2.
Yeah.
I'm
Uh,
sorry, like
it-
no, like
she
if I'm this person's boss and let's say this is a work situation and I'm giving a performance review, I'm literally like, no, what were you doing? Were you not paying attention? I need you to explain
increasingly
this to me.
exceeds expectations. Yeah.
Right, like
Yeah. 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 The one thing I will say, like, look at her components though. The judges are
finally,
seeing what we see. I don't even want to say finally, because half the panel, like, Belgium
half, yeah.
has her literally ninth in
Seventh.
composition and like giving her fifth and giving her in the sevens in skating skills is outlandish. I have to say, the judge from Kazakhstan, good for them. They gave composition 9, they gave skating skills and presentation 8.75. She should be there, if not higher, every single
Yep.
time. She is, I think, the number one. Again, we're separating the technical part of the sport because we want the rules to be followed and we want these jumps to be called under rotated when they are, and she probably got the benefit of the doubt there. But the second mark, it is separated for a reason, and she runs away with it. The whole use of her body, the freeness of everything, the joy she has, she presents so like
For
no
real,
other, no
there's
other.
an argument to put her first in PCS in my
She
opinion.
should
Like the
be.
skate is just that
Who else
good.
here,
Right, right. Like, because Cowrie's like a lot sloppier. Yeah, she
yep,
has this love and everything. She skates really fast, but
yep,
Yuna is just like the complete package in terms of like
yep,
performance. You're never just seeing a bad moment when she's skating. You're never seeing a
yep,
bad position. And she's always giving that face. She's always performing. She's
yep,
always giving the investment. And when you pair that with these just like unworldly skating skills. It's just like I don't even know how to describe it.
yeah.
Like
One
I
one
just
hundred
love
percent.
watching this. I will go back and rewatch this program a
Yeah,
lot from this
yeah.
competition. Um, and again, so really hats off to the Kazakh, Swiss, and US judge for placing her second in PCS, right?
Yep.
And especially the Kazakh judge who even dares to give her a
Really one of
first
the
rank
yeah,
in one of
yeah.
them in composition because this program
Mhm.
deserves that. It's a brilliant program, right? And
Yep.
then shame on the Belgian judge for placing her seventh in PCS and giving her in the sevens in PCS. Just an
Hmm.
absolute absurdity. Like,
Hmm.
sorry, but it is. Like, there's
Hmm.
just no explanation that's justifiable for that. And
Yep.
not if you actually read the rules,
Yep. One hundred
right?
percent agree.
So that my rant is over. Um,
Yeah, and also let's just give props to, I mean, I don't know exactly how I would have scored it comparatively, but the US judge did give her third overall with their scores for this program. So I
oh,
did
good for that.
just there's so much to like, so much to like about her. And this is one program. Women's field for me isn't quite doing it these days. There's not so many
Yeah.
standout performances, but she is someone that I can watch over and over and over again and not tire of her. She is
Yeah.
just so good.
And then just like the last skater I really want to mention here is Wakaba, just because she's just such a sentimental favorite for so many, myself too. I'm really glad she has that world silver, even if it was
Hmm.
like 8 years ago at this
Yep.
point.
Yep.
Um, and so what Mark was telling us is that she's had a lot of issues being able to prepare. She's had some injuries. She's feeling pain currently. You could see that at the end of the long program.
Hmm.
If this is the last time we see her skate, I'd be really like sad, but like I'm really glad at least we got to see this. This Wonder Woman program's amazing. It's
Hmm.
so good, and
Yeah,
I
it fits
really
her.
look
It's like James Bond
perfect.
vibes all over again. It
It
is
is. It
right up
is.
her
It
alley
really
to where it
is.
needs to be. Yeah.
And when we're talking about programs that are like instead of off the rack versus couture, this is like that couture, perfectly made for her,
Yep.
And I'm kind of sad that we're not going to be able to see this, to really its potential. I would love to see it skated like that James Bond Skyfall program. And I love Wakaba. I think a lot of us will remember her for decades to come, even if she doesn't like feel that. And I hope she
Hmm.
knows that. Like
Yeah.
I might cry just thinking about it. She's just given us
Yeah.
so much great joy in skating. I've always loved watching her live. That Sia Short program too. I remember seeing it Skate
Yep.
America, and I thought it was so grossly undermarked in PCS. The judges were giving her sevens. Like it was anyway. I'm
Yeah.
sad that just this is how she's ending her career when she wanted to end it on a higher note. I hope she's able to overcome this and maybe have an outside shot at the Olympic team, but it really doesn't seem like that right now.
Yeah, I mean, she in the free skate, we saw glimpses in the beginning at least of her getting it back together. Lutz toe is going to be a big deal for her. That's her moneymaker. She typically in the past even did two triple Lutz triple toe combinations in her long program because it was just so reliable. I do think like kind of like the Italians in ice dance, it's a little bit past her time. Although
Yeah,
last year, it's kind of like is she injury free or not? But last year she really put it together at Worlds and she was sixth, and she was one of
I know.
for sure one of the audience favorites, and she will continue to be. I think people will indeed remember her for a long time. The short program, not such a big fan of it, but the free skate is totally what I expect of her, and I loved it.
Yeah. So like that's concludes. Sorry, I'm like a little like emotional, like literally just talking about Wakaba. I didn't expect to feel this way. But that includes our, episode of NHK. We have Skate America next week. It's in Lake Placid. We complained a lot about, the location. But I'm really glad like the field looks pretty good. We're gonna get to see Jason Brown, who has to go from, Lake Placid 2 and then all the way to Finland. So good luck to Jason Brown. Just for that, I'm really hoping to see, some really great programs from him because I know this is
Hmm.
probably his last season. Um, I well, who knows? He's been surprising us. Who knows? He might stick around for
Nah, I think he's done.
right, right,
Yeah,
right. But this is probably his last season. So
yeah.
like, yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. Um, and in terms of just like NHK, the biggest moment for me that sticks out is really Yuma's long program, and I could say Aoki's too, just because I'm probably gonna rewatch that a bunch of times.
Hmm.
But I don't know. What about you?
Many moments from this
Oh,
competition. I
many.
would say
Okay.
that Paris short program was pretty high level. That was like the discipline of the short program, surprisingly, that I was like, wow, this is where it's at. Sui Han, their
Yeah.
short program, blown away by
Yeah.
that.
So good.
Samodikina and Aoki in the women's competition. Corey already looks like she's at 100% form. That was another big thing. I think for ice dance, not super overwhelmed anywhere, but of course Shibutani is a huge thing. They just,
Oh
they're not
God.
quite there yet. So that was a big thing for me. And then in the men's competition, I always love Yuma. I need to warm up more to his free skate. So that wasn't quite a moment for me yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall a very good competition. Very, very good competition
Really,
as
really
a
was
whole.
like, and it's kind of strange to say this as because we literally talked like an hour about ice dance, but it was the worst part of this competition, in my opinion, like the least enjoyable phase. I enjoyed all
Hmm.
the other phases more, and
Hmm.
it's really surprising for me to say that. I think so much of it is just because the rhythm dance this year is so bad, and
That
we
is
thought
that is what
even
it is.
really what it is.
Yeah.
So ISU, Ice Dance Technical Committee, I need y'all to really rethink this whole decades theme. It's not working.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. They need to go back. So we have Skate America next week. Yes, Lake Placid, middle of nowhere. We see Jason Brown's pretty much, I think, the only skater left that we have
hasn't
not seen
competed,
yet.
right?
Or maybe there's someone somewhere that only has one event that we'll see. I don't remember offhand.
Yeah.
But I do want to make special mention. We put up that donation link and we had Peter, someone that's super, like, he's always in the comments section. He's following us on Instagram now, and we interacted with him a little bit. He gave us a donation, so thank you so much for that.
Right.
So appreciated. Other than that, yeah, we ranted so long about ice dance, and I think the other three disciplines put together were like less time than that.
Oh,
But
we're insane. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
lots of feelings about ice dance, but I think rightfully so.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll see. I think it's a big
Oh,
question mark. Tell me.
yeah. And so just, before we go, we never say this. We need to be better about the whole like because we're on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're listening through,
Yes.
a
Yeah.
podcast platform, subscribe, as well. Everything gets automatically pushed to you. You get alerts about episodes. But other than that, just thank you for joining us again.
And then I just also wanted to make mention, we truly try to reply to each and every last person in the comments. Uh, as far as whether we disagree or agree, we can go into discussions about that. I like interacting with, I don't like having this wall between us where we say what we say and then that's it. And then, people say what they
Yeah.
want and we don't really follow up and say, "Oh, you're correct," or whatever. So we try to acknowledge between the two of us, we try to acknowledge every last comment. There was a comment last week where someone didn't really agree and then I explained why I had my feelings that I had. And the person basically replied, "Leave the comments to your subscribers. Why are you trying to fight with them?" I'm like, "No, we're not fighting. Like, we're just, this is a discussion that we're having post. We don't want to have that wall. We want to actually be able to
Yeah.
interact with people because why would we just say our stuff and then be like, we're right, that's the end."
Literally, like, there's no
Yeah,
point in just talking to people you always agree with. Like,
exactly.
I don't know. Like, I love just like having debate, and like Tony and I
Yeah,
will have those even like
yeah,
outside these episodes, right? And you
yeah,
clearly saw that with Yuma. Sometimes we'll have like more
mhm,
intense ones about other things too.
yeah,
Like, so
yeah,
please bring it. Like, we love
yeah.
it.
Yeah. And to that note, I did make a mistake last week and I was corrected in we went into this whole
Oh,
douche thing where I was like ranting, and I did get it. I don't know why I forgot this, but the Europeans where they had that crash, it was actually 1991 Europeans. And
Yeah.
because of that George Winston the free dance, and I think because of those mistakes and the complexity maybe of the program for where their level was at, this is when they went to Worlds and they changed their program back to missing two. In the Olympic season, they had West Side Story the whole way through. So I made that mistake last week when I was in my tangent about Taller Cranston hating on Torval and Dean and by extension the choreography that they gave. So I was corrected in the comments about that, and that is 100% right. But to my own, to my own defense, I was 91 Europeans. I would have been 4 years old, and that was just slightly before my time of being invested in skating hardcore. Of course, I've gone back and watched everything, but I did get that wrong. So thank you for pointing that out. And if you want to see the issue that I talked about, you need to look up 91 Europeans with Duchesnes. And then, yeah, so that wraps it up. We are back next week with Skate America. And as always, like Thomas said, please like, subscribe, share our videos wherever talk about skating. Get the word out there if you can. Have other people come and join us and talk about what they like and what they didn't like. We're super appreciative of everything. But for now, to not make this video 3 hours long, my name is Tony Wheeler.
And I'm Thomas Vu.
Thank you, as always, for watching Skating Session.
All right, bye everyone.